It is time for the Drew Yari Show. Drew Yari.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Wednesday, as usual, and it's 9:39 p.m. Central Time here in San Antonio. Welcome to the Drew Yari Show. I'm your host, Drew Yari, and my co-host, Mr. Kevin Castle. How you doing, Kev?
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, Kev just awoke from a peaceful slumber before the show
I
started.
know. I might pass out again. If I do, you're going to have to carry it.
Yeah, that'll be tough. I was gonna make an announcement before we get into anything. Well, two things.
Mm-hmm.
First thing, I was telling everybody, let's try to keep tonight's episode under 2 hours. Maybe like 1:45-ish, an hour 45-ish.
I was going to say 22 minutes.
We can do 22 minutes.
I was going to say before midnight. I got to get back to sleep. I got a big day tomorrow.
All right, so 1:30, like do an hour 30.
Yeah, it's fine.
So that would be like what, 11:30? Your 11:30 my time, 12:30 your time.
No, it's not 12:30 my time. It'd be 12:10 my time.
Okay, so yeah, let's try to be out of here by 11:10. 11:10, 12:10 your time. So there's that, and also another announcement I wanted to make is I forgot to mention this a couple weeks back. It just never really came up. So next month, I have a new shift for work. I'll be working a morning shift. It's 7 to 3. It will affect the show, but in a good way. Like I'll still be able to do this time slot. And opens my schedule up for other shit. Maybe to do more shows. I had been thinking about starting up a Patreon, so we got that available. So breaking news. And also, if you guys didn't notice on what I put on the Twitter, on the 30th of December is my year-end awards. Is my best and worst of the wrestling world. I already put up the nominees for male wrestler of the year, female wrestler, worst male wrestler, worst female wrestler. And the final 4 nominees I will post on the week before. And, pretty much I'll send you the nominees like the day before, Kev, just so you can, I guess you can kind of gauge your own picks on what you want to do. And then, the fans vote on who they want. So.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it's December 30th, so be here. Same time, same channel.
All right, if I'm alive, I'll try and make it.
If Kev's alive, God willing. So, what'd you think about both shows tonight?
I didn't watch AEW. I just watched NXT. Thought NXT was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean both. Yeah, NXT. I mean, we can kind of jump into the whole cross thing. So, because if anyone didn't see NXT, basically what happened is, Finn came back and, was talking, and then Priest, Pete Dunne, and Kyle O'Reilly came out and just were talking shit, wanted to shot the title. And then, Finn just said, hey, if you guys want to shot the title, that's William Regal's problem, not mine. And you hear Cross's music play, but Scarlett comes out and just takes a look at Finn, and Finn tells Scarlett, tell your boy if he wants a piece of me, he knows where to find me. Something along the lines of that. And then Damian Priest gets on the mic and, tells Scarlett, do you always do, Cross's bidding, or does he actually do anything himself? He wants to be a man, you can find me, blah, blah, blah. And then later in the night, Johnny Gargano, was talking about his victory, talking a little shit, and then Priest comes out, talks a little shit, and then Cross bum rushes Priest and just beats the ever-living piss out of him, powerbombs him to the table, and then leaves the arena. Which, it's good to see Cross back. He looks great. I couldn't really tell because he was wearing a jacket and something under it. He looks like he's gotten a little bigger.
He looks good. No, he's pretty much the same. I mean, maybe he's more muscular. I mean, he was lifting heavier weights while he was away. But he looked good. I thought he looked great. And Scarlett looked great. I like the way he just walked out of the arena and got in his car and left. And everyone asked if that's his real car. That is his car. I thought it was good. I think, people are like, oh, they should save him for Royal, but they can't. NXT needs help now. They can't, and it's funny. Now that he's back, I can say this. He wanted to go back to NXT because he felt, he had unfinished business there, and he didn't like the way he left. That wouldn't have sat well with him from a personal perspective. I'm talking about the guy Kevin himself. He wouldn't have felt right about going up to the main roster in that context, leaving. So he wanted to go back. He's happy he's back there. He feels they need him, and it's like a team that needs him. He doesn't in any way feel like it's a sinking ship or anything. I think he just feels like they've had some misfortune in NXT and things have worked out for some guys, haven't worked out for others, and him to win the title, to never defend it and just go to the main roster was never sitting well with him from the day after he got hurt, and I had some initial contact with him. He said he was going back to NXT. So all along, I think he knew he was going back there. It's funny. I just see some people, no reason why he's not in the main roster. Yeah, there is, because you can't leave a promotion like that. You just win the title and go and leave. I totally get it. And again, NXT needs the help. SmackDown and Raw don't need him right now. The NXT needs him. So to me, it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm fine with it because, again, he does unfinished business. At this point, if he were to go to the main roster, he would get lost in the shuffle because
there's no room. There's no room for him there. He said it. Again, right. Having some chats with him, he's like, everyone's like this armchair quarterback, and do what? And do what? There's 5 people ahead of him in line for each title on each brand. And in NXT, he can immediately go to the top. So why would he go to the main roster? Again, like, it's so funny that, podcasters think they know everything. And meanwhile, the wrestlers already have it in their minds what they want to do. And they must sit back and watch people comment on their careers online and just be like, the fuck is this guy talking about? So, again, they all know from the time they get hurt, I think even from the time they're on their way back, what's going to happen with them. The only Meltzer and Alvarez, they don't know what they're going to do with him. And Cross said from the day he was in the room being checked by the doctor, Triple H is like, you'll be back in NXT as soon as you're ready. And that was it. It was like he just had fun watching everybody predict he'd be on the main roster, but he knew he was going back to NXT.
Oh, no. I agree with you because like I just said, like, he would have gotten lost in the shuffle because everybody's kind of doing their own thing on the main roster. So where would he have been? So exactly. Keeping him in NXT is a smart move because NXT is lacking star power. Like, they are very much lacking star power, and keeping Cross there is good. And with understatement, Cross is a star. He's going to be someone that could move the needle for that brand, and eventually, hopefully, we'll get more stars in NXT. But yeah, him and so let me ask you this, and like, I'm not saying tell me everything that Cross tells you in the film, but like, at this moment, is he now automatically in a feud with Priest, or is he gonna be hot shotted back into the title picture?
No, I wouldn't know that anyway, but it's gonna be with Priest obviously first, and then he'll be able to go after Finn Balor. I think he'll probably fight Damian Priest on television, beat him, and then he'll be at New Year's Eve probably versus Finn Balor. Because again, he didn't lose the title, so he should be. He shouldn't have to get to the back of the line. He beat somebody straight up for the belt and then had to retire it. So I don't. Again, some podcasts will be yammering on about, he's going to get back. I'm like, no, he doesn't. Exactly. If you lost it and you didn't lose it by pinfall, you lost it by injury, you should be in the title picture when you come back. I can argue that all day long, but I'm sure, again, like I said, There'll be people who will be like, I'm like, wrong. When you lose and get pinned, then you go to the back of the line. When you lose by default of an injury, it's not the same fucking thing. It's not. Let me put it to this way. I'll put it in a better way. Right. If anybody's ever played sports out there, Mike Piazza was a Met, and Mike got injured as a catcher. This is Mike come back and go to the back of the line. He's their all-star catcher and left with an injury. Does the backup string catcher now replace him? And then Mike's got to prove himself to get back into the – no, hell no. When you're a certified star in baseball, football, whatever, you come back from an injury, you're in the starting game. You're back in your position. You don't lose your spot. So again, some people maybe didn't play sports. A lot of nerds who do podcasting probably never played sports in their life, so they don't even know that's – what are you talking about? It's like you didn't lose in any kind of disgraceful way. You were fucking injured. So I'm going to have fun this week watching idiots talk about stuff that they don't understand. And wrestling is predetermined anyway, but if you're going by rules of sports, you don't lose your spot because of an injury. It's nonsense. And you don't go to the back of the line. It's like Derek Jeter got hurt back in the Yankees days. Oh, sorry, Derek, we got a new shortstop. Maybe go down to the AAA and prove yourself. It's like, yeah, I'm a 7-time All-Star. I don't have to do that. And Cross is maybe not a 7-time All-Star, but he was dominating before he left. He beat their biggest star, Ciampa, then beat Keith Lee. He doesn't have to go anywhere. Who's he got to go face? Oni Lorcan and then get a title shot? So Damian Priest is only a distraction to just show that, oh, here's another top guy. Let me bury him now, literally. And then, okay, then I'll go against Finn Balor. So they're just putting him in there as like, here, take on this 6'9" guy who was just a North American champion. Gross will be like, okay, I'll beat him, and then I'll go after Balor. Just to probably silence the nerd patrol who will be like, oh, he just comes back and gets a title shot. I think that's why they're doing it, to be honest with you. Or just a warm-up to let Cross take on a guy about his size. Well, he's bigger than Cross. Cross is 6'4". But take on a big guy and let Cross show everybody he's fine. And this way there's no doubt when he takes on Finn Balor at New Year's Evil.
So, but I think the way it looks, I think he's going to face what I blank on his name, Priest at New Year's Evil, and then I think he's going
to face Priest on television.
No, that's what I was saying. Because isn't New Year's Evil supposed to be a television thing?
No, but that's it's a pay-per-view caliber thing. I'm talking about in 2 weeks he'll fight Priest on a regular NXT thing, head-to-head with AEW.
I mean, probably, yeah, but just my opinion. Here's how I would probably book it: is him and Priest on New Year's Evil would be a big match, and then at the takeover before Mania, which I don't even know if they'll have a takeover before Mania, you'd have Balor and Cross.
Yeah, I don't know. New Year's Evil, Devil versus Demon makes a lot more sense to me, which is the whole thing. New Year's Evil. Get it?
Oh, probably. Yeah, you're probably right. So, I mean,
that's the whole the evil thing is based around Balor and Cross.
Well, man, I'm just saying, I'm not doubting him. I wouldn't be opposed to it. So, but what else? I mean, NXT, everything else was kind of not bad, but really nothing to kind of write home about. I mean, the main event was Ember Moon and Raquel. I mean, I like Raquel. I think she really proved herself on War Games, which we'll get into.
Isn't she from your neck of the woods?
Yeah, she's Houston. She's a Houston girl.
Okay.
So, and then it ended with her and Rhea having a matchup, which it looks like they're going to have another match. I'm assuming at New Year's Evil, so because they're going to pull out all the stops and put out their best matches. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to that matchup whenever it does happen. But what else happened on the show? I mean, yeah, you had Pete Dunne and Killian Dane, which it was all right. You had interference, and I mean, everything else was just kind of okay. I mean, what was your opinion on the rest of the show?
I think it was okay. I mean, it wasn't anything great, but then again, NXT is still, it doesn't matter what anybody says, it's still a developmental brand. It's not a developmental brand depending on week to week, like that jackass Alvarez says. It's always a developmental third brand. It's always going to be that. And the majority of people there are either journeymen getting another chance to change their gimmick and hone their craft and be somebody, or they're newcomers or independent guys who got signed who haven't been anybody yet and will one day be somebody, or people just getting another chance at their career. There's not really anybody. The star power there starts and stops with Finn Balor, Undisputed Era, Karrion Kross to a degree, and maybe another guy or two, and some of the women in the women's division. But it's not star packed. It's never going to be. And if people go 2 years ago, look at the lineup, yeah. And what happens? It's the progression of nature in the business. People come and go from NXT. They don't stay there forever. They're not supposed to stay there forever. 2 years ago, it looked like a different cast of characters because a lot of them got brought up. Some of them got released. Some of them have gone here or there. NXT should not be the same roster. If you go and do a 2-year reflection, just like you would do with a AAA team in baseball, football, basketball, farm league team, 2 years should bring a lot of changes. Now, if you say a year from now, it should look like similar, yeah, because a lot of people aren't ready yet. They're still under developmental. They're still honing their craft, finding their way. But when I watch online, people go, what a difference. Look, 2 years ago, NXT roster was star-studded and TakeOver was off the chain. Now it's like, it's okay. It's decent. It's barely treading water, or it's a shell of its former self. I'm like, no, it's just a changing of the guard. It's different. You got to, again, Dexter Lumis is still finding his way to be a star. Cross is only here since fucking May. Balor is injured every other fucking time. Balor is becoming like Rey Mysterio with injuries. He's not on TV every week. Undisputed Era is kind of an old act at this point. Yeah, 2 years of the same old shit. So they're going to have to make a move with some of these guys. That's why they developed a couple of new factions. Tonight you see Johnny Gargano's new faction, The Way. It's called The Way, which is kind of weird, The Way. I don't know about that. I don't know if that's marketable. And you have, of course, what's his name's faction, football guy there with the Kings of NXT, whatever the fuck they're called. Yeah, not exactly great names for these new factions. I'm not impressed with these names that they're coming up with for these factions. And you might say, it's kind of bottom of the barrel. I'm like, again, it's a developmental territory. Not everybody is going to be a star. Not everybody is going to hit when they get to the big leagues. And you can't just like if you took Adam Cole and Killer Kross, Karrion Kross, and remove them from NXT, forget about it. I mean, Balor again only can do so much, and then you got some of these other guys. Only their tag team is really weak. Tag team division is strong from a team perspective, but real star teams, grizzled young veterans, or I don't know. I look at some of these guys from the UK, Pete Dunne, with his ridiculous lower body that doesn't match his upper body. Pete Dunne doesn't do anything for me. God, it's the most unattractive, ugly man I've ever seen in my life. My God. Jesus Christ.
Unattractive, ugly man.
Any day I don't feel good about myself, I could look at Pete Dunne and go, I am better looking than him.
So who's an attractive, ugly man?
Oh, good Lord. No, unattractive. I didn't say attractive. I said unattractive. Good
You said unattractive, ugly man. So who?
Yeah, unattractive, ugly man. Exactly. It's a double negative. Yeah, just who still breaks out in acne? Didn't they cure that? I mean, seriously.
maybe he has a condition. I don't know.
I haven't seen anybody in their 20s have acne breakouts in years. I thought they cured that. You don't even see acne commercials on TV anymore. Didn't they cure acne? I mean, seriously, when did acne come back? Does anybody here suffer from acne? I didn't know that still happens.
Well, I mean, what's that commercial? It's like an infomercial thing where
Differin gel? Differin?
Not Differin gel. It's like a white box where you use for like pimples and
Clearasil?
What is it called? Because I used to use it myself when I was younger. But
Clearasil. I don't know. But who the fuck who breaks out anymore? Pete Dunne's got ridiculous blemish. Like, do something. I don't know if he's on roids because his body's completely changed. And that outfit is just ridiculous. He's got chicken legs and a Rick Rude torso and upper body with a singlet, which is unflattering to him at all. And he's got a huge misshapen head. He looks like if Ron Jeremy, the porn star, had a lesbian sister, it'd be Pete Dunne.
Or like Brian last said, he looks like Becky Lynch with pubes glued to his face.
I wouldn't even insult Becky Lynch like that. Becky Lynch is an attractive woman. Pete Dunne is a hideous freak.
Congratulations to Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins, by the way. They just had
congratulations to them. Yeah, they both blocked me, and I said the same thing. Their daughter can grow up to block me in 15 years on Twitter or whatever. But yeah, they had a kid. That seemed like very fast. It seemed like just yesterday she announced her pregnancy. I can't believe it. Just shows you how COVID has Groundhog Dayed the whole year for everybody. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I mean, wasn't it like I think it was like the week after Mania, which was in April, and so yeah, 8 months. They probably had a C-section, or she probably had like it was an emergency C-section.
Didn't Seth Rollins carry the baby?
What do you mean?
Oh, I thought Seth Rollins was pregnant.
Probably, I don't know, but
God, what a.
Well, she is the man, so that'd make him the woman.
And he is. I don't know. He's fucking such a beta. I don't even know if I think he had someone else bang her. I can't even picture Seth Rollins being any kind of a man like in that way. It's like I don't even want to envision that.
So do you pull a Jim Cornette and just had somebody cuck his wife?
Some wrestling, so many weirdos in wrestling. That's a clam that nobody wants to open up. Jesus, keep that closed. Actually, probably is horrible. Wrestling is so depraved and disgusting. You don't want to know what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really came of it during the whole speaking out thing.
By the way, what the fuck is Miro wearing? Someone sent me a picture of this idiot, and he looks like he's dressed like Kerwin White. What the hell is Miro wearing? Like
it was like some Gucci
God,
long sleeve shirt. I don't know what's going on with that guy. Like, I had high hopes for him because I thought he was going to go to AEW and at least be something. Maybe not a top star, but something. And
he wearing like a turtle sweater.
He decides to dye his hair blonde and come out in some weird Mickey Mouse shirt that was like $700 apparently.
No. Well, tonight he came out and beat up somebody tonight.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about, but like I'm just talking about when he debuted, and just like I don't. He's still calling himself the Bulgarian Brute, but his whole thing is he's friends with somebody because they play video games, and I play video games. I love video games, but it's just like they've neutered Miro completely.
I never thought he was anything to neuter anyway. You come from the WWE, yet you resent the WWE. Yet if it wasn't for the WWE, you wouldn't even have the opportunities that you have. So it's very strange to me. It's like someone saying to me, dude, how much do you hate coming from the DTKC show? I'd be like, well, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't from there. My 13 years there is what affords me to even have opportunities to go anywhere else. So I can maybe not like the way it ended, but I'm not going to dismiss my time there or the fact that I'm from there. And I'm certainly not going to not put over the fact that my experience is what made me have opportunities today. So I hate that disingenuous bullshit of, I would have been successful anyway. How do you know? You know what I mean? How do I, I probably would have, had I not been on the show, I would have been on another podcast that would have put my name out there. I don't know that. So I don't make dumb statements like that. So I always think that, people who say that, like who come from WWE and there for a long time and developed there and became a name there. And again, you don't have to like the way you left, but don't, pretend that you're not here because you were there. Do you know what I'm saying? Even here, I wouldn't be on your show tonight if I wasn't from where I was. So, I mean, again, people want to be in denial because they're mad. When you're mad at someone or you're mad at a company or you're mad at an entity or something, you don't want to give them any credit for anything. And it's just, and again, some fans will cheer you on for that. Oh, yeah, you go. I'm like, you're also stupid because you wouldn't even know who this man was. You wouldn't be a fan if he wasn't from there. So, again, to me, I that's why I can't get behind people like Miro and Matt Cardone and stuff, these denial guys who, again, okay, show us that you're as great and that the company made this big, huge mistake. Show us. So far, the only guy who's shown me anything, and quite honestly, it was like to me, it was the most quiet championship run I've ever seen was Jon Moxley, who, by the way, was already an A-list star from WWE. I don't think he was mistreated. I think that's you're a member of the fucking Shield, for God's sakes, making $2 million a year. What more do you want? How much were you making in CZW? as whatever Johnny Houston or whatever the fuck your name was over there. I mean, again, I'm just tired of people, especially during these times, of being so bitter bitches about stuff, and it's the people who put you on the map, and you have not only no love for them, but you have nothing but contempt. And I won't support anybody like that. So when Miro's on, I'm like, click. I'm not pro WWE. I'm just anti. I'm anti people who are just fucking ungrateful for anything they were given. It bothers me. It always will. It bothered me way before this year. That would bother me 10 years ago. You know, it's just that's the thing now. You leave somewhere and you just constantly shit talk it and make like, oh, I could have been a big deal even if it wasn't for them, and it's not true. You know, it's just not true.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and looking back, I don't think Moxie really said he was mistreated. I think it was more from a character standpoint because they. I don't know because like I listened to the interview. It wasn't like the Punk one where Punk really did kind of come off as bitter. You know, Moxley was more just like they tried to make people look like a complete goof.
Calling it a toxic, horrible environment. That's from a character perspective. Couldn't wait to get out of there as a character. Loathed coming to work. That's some of the quotes from Moxley. So, I mean, didn't want to fucking leave the house to go to work. That's not from a character. That's some deep-rooted not wanting to be there shit. But again, that's fine and everything, but I want to for one time see somebody say, but, however, I didn't like the way it ended. However, it's like the way I said it about DTKC. I didn't like the way it ended at all. I thought it sucked the way it ended. But my time there was well spent because, again, I got to be known. I got to meet people that I wouldn't have met otherwise. Getting in Rolling Stone, I wouldn't have got in there on my own. I got in there as a duo. So again, the whole and podcasters have to be the same way. You have to kind of, be grateful for what you have and not be so quick to, I'm held back because this and that. I think everyone holds themselves back sometimes, and same for myself. I think again, if you have a bad attitude, greener pastures are only going to be greener if you have the right attitude. And no one's going to just same thing with Miro. I think Miro just wanted to escape the WWE. If he doesn't go on to be world champion AEW, it's not going to surprise me because I don't think he ever was meant to be a world champion. I think in his mind he thinks he is. So tonight I'm reading these quotes like, oh, Miro's a monster. Tonight he showed why he's going to be a top guy. I'm like, by doing what? And top guys don't dress like that. I got news for you. He looks like a fucking fool.
I mean, I guess, I had RJ on the show, a while back, and I kind of summed it up, someone like Orange Cassidy, I mean, we don't like him. We definitely don't like him, but I just kind of chalked it up to he's not for us. He's for a different audience. And, it is what it is. I have friends that like Orange Cassidy, and that's fine. To each his own. But, just AEW it's obviously catering to a different audience. It's catering to the more younger, I hate to use this word, demographic. Whereas NXT is more, it's kind of half and half. It'll go for the younger audience, but it'll also cater to the older audience. Case in point, they had War Games, or they'll have, traditional, like old school wrestling matches, like a strap match or a blindfold match. And it's, at this point, it is what it is with AEW. That's just the best way I can describe it, because it just seems like with them, you're going to get what you get, and you can't really complain about it because that just seems like that's their MO. Case in point, I was gone last week, and a lot of shit happened last week. Sting debuted in AEW. He came out tonight during the Cody promo and talked to Cody, and then Cody thought, he was after him, but then Sting said, "Hey, I'm not here for you. Well, not yet." And it was kind of, it was a nice promo by Sting, because it looks like Sting is going to wrestle Darby Allin first, and he goes up to Cody and kind of gives him like a neck hug, like he puts or not a neck hug, like he puts his elbow around his neck and then says,
Right.
I'll see you around, kid. And then, so I guess that's going to start the Cody and Sting feud soon, because Sting chose Darby over him. But what's your overall thoughts on Sting in AEW?
Well, what I and other people said, I saw my brother post about it. I had posted about it. Multiple people posted about it, that he was going to wrestle, and people told us, hey, no one said that. No one ever said, well, he is wrestling. He's under a performer contract, which doesn't take a genius to figure that out. He's not a manager. He's not doing promos. He's not doing backstage interviews. What is these noises going on in the background, man? Holy shit, man.
It's probably my fan.
He's not doing any kind of interview segments. Sting's not a promo guy anyway. He's not a talker. He's never done play-by-play in his life. So again, he was always going to be a performer. He's under, even in his bio that has 0 wins, 0 losses. They had his stats for so far, what his stats are in the ring. Dude, there's some massive technical problems here. Oh my God.
Wait, what do you mean?
There's like a lot of noise and someone in the background. I think someone's mic is not muted.
Let me see. No, everyone's mic is muted.
Nah, it's like I hear like a lot of noises in the back. All right.
I mean, I have my fan on, but I don't know if that should be the problem.
No, I don't think fans burp, but last I heard, fans don't make bellow noises.
All right, so everybody, can you, if you haven't already, can you please mute your mic?
Exactly. Trust me, I'm doing this a long time. Someone's mic wasn't muted, but now it's quiet because I said something. Sting was always going to perform. You don't come out in your gear that you wrestle in and that you make an appearance in. If that, he would have came out in street clothes. So again, here's the idiots on Twitter. Oh no, there's not, and he is going to wrestle, and it's been made clear he's going to wrestle. So now they hired a 61-year-old to wrestle, someone who's half his junior in years, like 30 years younger than him, 35 years younger than him, actually. I think it's a bad idea. As long as he doesn't wrestle Sammy Guevara, who's notorious for hurting people, keep it far away from him. And someone got word to Sammy, because now I'm blocked from him on all social media forums. So someone snitch tweeted me, snitched me. I don't get that. I mean, again, it's turning into WCW. When I see Tony Schiavone and Sting, and I'm just like, it's like WCW all over again. Even the way the production of the show, it reminds me of WCW. I mean, I'm waiting for Lash LaRue to come out with the filthy animals and stuff. I don't want to see this. I'm just totally disinterested. I'll watch Impact. I'll watch MLW. I'll watch Ring of Honor. I'll watch any other wrestling show except AEW. I already told people who I'm going to be involved with the new year in wrestling shows, I have no interest in doing AEW reviews. So I'm going to hire somebody to do that. I just don't want to do it. I'm not interested, because that don't mean I have to watch the program, and I don't want to watch it. So it's just a program I'm not interested in watching. It's like, to me, having to watch the Kansas City Royals play baseball. I just don't want to watch that. So it's just a promo. I watched the snippets. I saw the clip of Sting and Tony Schiavone. I saw Cody Rhodes. I'll see these little snippets, but sit there and watch a 2-hour show. Again, it reminds me of WCW in 2000, 2001, before they got shut down. And I still don't have faith that this promotion will be around years from now. I just don't. I don't care how 800,000 they get, which is laughable to brag about, which quite honestly, any show on TNT can get those numbers. Like, CSI reruns can get that. I mean, there's nothing impressive there. They keep beating NXT when NXT only has one certifiable star on the show, which is Finn Balor from the main roster. They brag about that. Put them up against a show that Roman Reigns is on. Let me see if AEW can win. None of them are bigger than Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is way bigger than Kenny Omega. It's not even competition. So to me, it's like that whole show is, I can't get on board with it at all. So that's why, the wrestling, you should cover all sorts of wrestling and stuff. But I'm at the point now, the age now, if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. I got this CM Punk attitude. If I'm not happy doing something, I'm going to do something else. But yeah, I to me, I'll if tomorrow, even if I had 2 hours to kill, I can't imagine doing it watching the AEW rerun. So it's just not for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at the point where I'm kind of on the same boat. It's just what I do every Wednesday. I'll have NXT on my actual television, and then I'll have AEW on my tablet, and I'll usually have AEW on mute. If like you have something, if something comes on that it kind of catches my interest, I'll turn it up. Like if it's MJF talking, or for example, I want to see what Sting had to say. That's about it. Other than that, it's just nothing on the show really catches my eye, and it's not me being hateful. It's just like there's really nobody on the show. There's really not too many people on the show that I want to invest time in. Like,
right.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the Young Bucks. I'm not a fan of Kenny Omega. I mean, I listened to his promo on Impact last night, and I saw the one tonight, and it was just like, ugh. Can this guy just like not talk? Like just let Don Callis do the talking. Like it's like we've said before, Kenny Omega is just not cool. He's not. When he talks, he just sounds like a dork. He sounds like a douchey dork. And it's just, ugh. What were you gonna say?
He's right. No, I agree with you. Kenny Omega is not cool. I laugh at anybody. Again, my thing is anybody who thinks Kenny Omega is cool has never been cool in their life. Was never cool in high school. Was never cool afterwards. Doesn't hang out with a cool sect of people now, and has no idea what's cool. Zero. I just shake my head. Kenny Omega thing's the best thing in wrestling. No, that would be the Roman Reigns thing. It's not even close. It's like it's almost laughable. It's like, even someone saying a dream match right now would be Roman Reigns and Kenny Omega. I'm like, probably get Roman Reigns' eyes is like, that's who I'd have to take on from that company, that douchebag. I mean, seriously, that's their top guy. And I'm sure he'd be like, and Don Callis is not even known by half the wrestling community. Again, another legend in his own mind, who runs Impact. And Impact's numbers are just trash since him and that other dude took over. Their TV, 35,000 is what their TV comes to. 35,000 people watching. And we're mocking NXT for having 700,000. 35,000 is their TV demo. I mean, how are they still on? How does Access TV still have this company on their list? Finding Bigfoot draws 400,000 people. Reruns of Finding Bigfoot. Again, with these numbers, what's the bragging rights of this shit? It's unbelievable that there's actually a contingency of wrestling fans that brag on this stuff. Oh, I'm sorry. Kenny Omega was on Impact the other nights. All right, so now they'll have 50,000 people watching.
They actually drew 55,000.
55,000 people. Do you realize the WWE can draw a Royal Rumble, a crowd, if there was no COVID, 55,000 people in attendance? So, you know what I'm saying? Think about that. If WWE put on one of their big four with a crowd now, they would outdraw that number in an arena with live people. If Royal Rumble was taking place in Phoenix or in the stadium like they did before COVID, they can actually outdraw that. Think of the concept of that.
Yeah, it's
55,000.
So kind of switching gears before we get to War Games. Like, do you think Royal Rumble will actually bring in actual fans? Or like, I'm going to rephrase that. So like, with the Royal Rumble,
they're only going to have they're just going to have like about 200 fans in attendance, from what I understand.
Yeah, because the Royal Rumble needs fans. Like that's an event that actually needs that genuine crowd reaction. Mm-hmm. Hey, what's going on, Nish? Oh, yeah, I guess not.
Well, right wingers tell me Impact owns Access TV. That doesn't mean anything. They still have to draw people. You could say what owns, so somewhat, what is it, a plaything for Impact and Access TV? They still have to draw ratings. I always laugh when someone says that. Like Panda Energy has this and that for Impact. Yeah, and guess what? They're not in it to lose money. They're not in it. It's not like a playtime. And again, with COVID and cuts, they're going to take a big look at what their investments are and who they're affiliated with and what kind of money is being bled. So it doesn't matter who owns what or this and that, or they have some tie-in and that people think that there's money to burn. There's no money to burn anywhere.
So how do you think Impact has lasted this long?
So I mean, again, those kind of numbers are just pathetic.
Like
But what,
how do you? Oh, I mean, before I get back to the Royal Rumble question, I mean, I guess we already kind of covered it, but like, how do you think Impact has lasted this long? Because it's just like this is a company that really should have gone out of business, like probably 4 or 5 years ago at least.
yeah,
And it
longer.
and it just seems like they just still find a way to stay on top. As a matter of fact, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, haven't they lasted longer than WCW?
Yeah, they've been around longer than WCW, but WCW was the NWA. You could, technically the NWA and WCW are one and the same. They just basically changed lettering and the letterhead of the company. It was NWA for decades before that, and then WCW. Technically, WCW came into existence in 1989,
Right.
1990 to make it official. But it was still called the NWA up until 1990. Me and Draper went to shows at the Meadowlands in Jersey in 1990. It was still called NWA/WCW. By 91, it was called WCW officially. But it was technically WCW around 89, 90. So if you want to go by that, WCW lasted, 11 years, but not really because, again, with the lineage of the NWA, it's got 30 years before that, even longer. But again, if you want to go by, it's all technical. It's just like the way people say NXT is separate from SmackDown. It is and it isn't. It's still part of WWE. It's like it's WWE. It's all the same thing. It's all in the same group. But you can do the separation of church and state if you want to get cutesy. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I guess that's kind of what I meant. Like legit WCW when it just became primarily WCW.
91.
Yeah, and ECW. So Impact Wrestling has outlasted WCW and ECW. Like that's it's insane.
Yeah, but they didn't have the years that WCW had. Those 3 solid years of huge revenue and money making and worldwide fame. ECW never really did. I mean, ECW had their 3 good years were nothing on a grand scale that you can measure of success like WCW had or WWF had, or even back in the day, World Class had their glory days from 82 to 86. So usually, actually, it's like almost like a presidential run. It's like 4 years. Everyone has like a good 4 year. You have a good 4 year run. It's kind of normal in wrestling. Like Florida Championship Wrestling had their from 81 to 85, and then their territory went down. Memphis glory years were the early 80s, Andy Kaufman, all that stuff, which would be 82 to about 86, and then they went down. Then in 86, they were going down that they had to team up with the AWA. Their glory days were like 80 to 84. So again, the 4 year thing is not, it's every wrestling company. Every wrestling company has gone through that. I can go up and down the line actually with all these wrestling companies that had their great, even the NWA, the reason the NWA sold to Ted Turner and stuff, Crockett Promotions' biggest years were 83, 84, 85, 86, then 87. They started to fall into the tank. That's why Ron Garvin won their world championship, because they didn't even know what to do at one point. Because, Ric Flair was kind of long in the tooth at that point, even though he eventually got it back. But by 88, Crockett sort of riding on the wall, and they sold to Ted Turner in 89. So again, the 4 year thing is pretty common. Like you say this company only had this amount of years. That's everybody. Only WWF has exceeded that. They've exceeded that, but they have their down years too. But then again, look at the Attitude Era. You could say 97, 98, 99, 2000. Even though WWE had, to me, a good 2001, 2, 3, Ruthless Aggression was like 2002 to like 2005. That's 3 years. See what I'm doing there? If you really dissect all this stuff, it's 3 to 4 year things, and then there's a lull. But it seems like there's been a long lull now in wrestling, much longer than 4 years, especially in WWE.
I think the Ruthless Aggression was until 07, and then in 08 is when the PG.
No, Ruthless Aggression was 2002. John Cena coined the phrase
No,
ruthless
no,
aggression.
no. I said it started in 2002. I'm saying I think it lasted until 2007.
I don't know about that. I think really 2005 it died off, but I think it's more to 2005. 2007 is kind of pushing it.
Because I know the PG era started in 08. And yeah, that was that wasn't very fun. But yeah, kind of getting back. I mean, do you want to talk about Pat Patterson a little bit before we get into War Games?
Sure.
So I mean, yeah, last week on I believe it was Wednesday, Pat Patterson passed away. He was it 70? Was he 79 or 70? Like
79.
79. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
79. I mean, as you know, Pat Patterson was, he was a. I mean, I obviously I was too young to remember him in actually wrestling, but I would always hear that name. Anybody like The Rock, for example, or John Cena would talk about Pat Patterson. That he was, he was an agent. He also, before there even was a creative, it was just him and Vince booking the show.
Right.
And again, going back to The Rock, made a nice, Instagram post saying, that, Pat Patterson wants a bat for him, telling Vince, hey, we got to look at this kid. This guy's going to be something. So Pat Patterson was very instrumental in helping out a lot of the young talent, helping them get noticed. 79, passed away. It's a big loss, for wrestling and also for the company, because he meant a lot to the company. What's your overall, thoughts about Pat Patterson as a whole?
Well, I mean, it's a big loss to a degree because he's not even involved in wrestling anymore. He's almost 80. He was retired. He's been retired for a while now. So he really didn't have any. He didn't have anything to do with WWE for a while. Every now and then he'd make an appearance, but he's been retired for years now. He was retired before he even did the Wrestler's House thing on the WWE Network.
Well, I mean,
6 years ago, 7 years ago.
He's always been important for the company. I mean, he meant a lot to Vince. So,
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that he's not actively. He wasn't a decision maker. He hasn't signed anybody. He hasn't been. He hasn't been a guy in play in a long time. Legacy wise, he means a lot. That's like saying Ultimate Warrior meant a lot to WWE. Yeah, he meant a lot when he was active. But out of sight, out of mind. I don't know the last time anybody really thought about Pat Patterson in any of our. I couldn't tell you the last time Pat Patterson came up on a podcast. Anybody discussed him. Usually when people die, everybody kind of amps up the importance of somebody. But he played a pivotal role in WrestleMania, in WrestleMania 1 throughout those years, and into the early 90s through the degree. Then, of course, he was let go at one point because of the Ring Boy scandal, if you remember, with Mel Phillips and stuff. I don't even know. I mean, I'm sure you've heard about it, but I don't even know if you're watching wrestling back then. You're too young. Probably remember 92, 90. When were you born?
I was born in 89. I was kind of vaguely, as far as that story goes, I kind of knew a little bit about it.
Right.
Mel Phillips. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't there a thing on the Donahue show where there was an announcer?
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
And Barry Orton, Randy Orton's uncle, Barry O, was on there, which is Bob Orton Jr.'s brother and Randy Orton's uncle. Barry O was a job guy, who's an enhancement talent, who even Al Perez had hinted in his never came out and said it, but I knew who he was talking about. When Al was there in 1990, and Al was checking into a hotel with Randy Savage and Terry Taylor, Red Rooster, the Pat Patterson was talking about getting a room with him and Barry O, and Al tells a story of the guy was saying, one bed or two, and the guy goes, one bed, and they were looking at Barry, like you're sharing a bed with Patterson? Like, why don't you get in your own room? And and even Perez was like, I do not want to be in this territory. Like, just if this is what's going on. And Perez is the one who had the problem with Pat Patterson, asking him if he went both ways. And then Perez kicked him over a table. It's a famous story. It's a true story. And then Perez didn't last very long in that territory. He didn't want to be there. So there was that kind of chicanery that went on and stuff. But the thing that a couple of people, my brother raised and I kind of cringed when I saw my brother do this. But again, I guess it's fair because it's never really, it's out there in the open. There's been no prosecution of it, and there's been no admittance from Pat Patterson of him being involved with sex for favors kind of thing. I don't know about the Ring Boys thing. I think that was more Mel Phillips and a couple other people. Terry Golden I think his name was Terry Garvin. No relation to gorgeous Jimmy Garvin, Ron Garvin, by the way. Terry Garvin and Mel Phillips. I think Patterson's rep was more sex for favors with guys who were of age, willing, and participants. Barry Orton is the most famous one. Again, ironically, who's Randy Orton's uncle. Very weird. But from what I understand, I think Randy is estranged from his uncle for many, many years. I don't even know if his Bob speaks to his brother anymore. I'm not sure. But I know that Barry was on that Donahue show. And again, so there's that cloud, that dark cloud. Roddy Piper hinted that Patterson did something to him, then retracted it, according to other people. But there's always been those stories. And listen, the one thing I'll say is, it's underhanded and kind of disgusting to have a sex for favors relationship if you're in a position of authority. Is it criminal? No, it's just underhanded, unscrupulous business practice. It's not criminal if a 28-year-old enhancement talent wrestler decides to have a homosexual affair with Pat Patterson. It's much different than some ring boy who's 16 taking back the jackets. That's a different story. So again, you kind of met just these things that are out there. But again, there's been no prosecution of it. He's never been arrested for anything. But I think there was that dark cloud. But let me tell you something. They certainly pushed that dark cloud away, and it was far more 99% positive comments about Pat Patterson from wrestlers, fans, people like that. Couple small percentage of people saying, "Is this the guy who did a lot of things for favors and pushed his sexuality on unwilling wrestlers?" Yeah, but it seemed that didn't matter when he died. It was like a big party for Patterson, and everyone had mostly wonderful things to say, wonderful tributes. I mean, I put him over myself because, again, there's no evidence of any criminality. You can maybe not like the seedy kind of way things went down, were true or not, but there was no criminality involved, at least not from him. Like, listen, you're never going to see Mel Phillips be mourned by the WWE or Terry Garvin. You know what I mean, Drew? Because they have been taken to task about underage sex with underage boys. Different story. Again, adults do adult things. If someone wants to get a room with Pat and do something, that's on them. It's, again, doesn't look good trying to get, ring time and you giving blowjobs. Not very, questionable behavior. Criminal behavior? No. You know what I mean? No. So you got that. But getting away from that and just putting into the perspective of what he did for wrestling, he knew wrestling. And again, he had a lot of friends in the business. He was a great mind for wrestling, putting stuff together, creative. He was very much responsible for The Rock's push and The Rock getting signed. His friendship with Rocky Johnson, which developed when I was watching Patterson in wrestling, when Rocky Johnson was here in the early 80s, seeing them at the Garden on a regular basis. Patterson, I was there for that street fight that he had with Sergeant Slaughter in 1981. Me and Draper were there with my father. I remember that very well. I mean, I remember that like it was yesterday. So I've seen him wrestle, and he was already past his prime. He was about probably in his 40s when he was fighting Slaughter in those matches, but he was pretty much behind the scenes at that point. It's so funny now. I look back and I'm 10 years older than him now than he was in the street fight. I was 52. He was probably 42 back then. I was just thinking about that. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like 10 years his senior. Like, thinking about that street fight from 40 years ago. And he was over. I mean, the Garden loved him, Patterson. I can still remember the chat. I mean, again, I just remember all that stuff so vividly. I remember buying the program and all that stuff there in the street. I wish I saved all that stuff, but I remember taking some pictures. For years, I had pictures of as close as you can get, pretty far shots. We didn't have that great of seats, but I remember taking a picture of Slaughter, a bloody mess on ringside, and Patterson hitting him with the cowboy boot that came off his foot. And I had a picture of that I took. And I had it for years, and I lost it. I was trying to find it to post it on. I went in my box. It was all day. It was in my storage box. I was trying to find it so I can get it on Twitter and post it and show people this. I took this picture, and with a Kodak Instant thing. The old school ones that you take it and it comes out, slides out the bottom. The old Kodak cameras from back in the day, and you have to shake it. And then you look at it and you keep shaking it, and then it finally comes out. But I had that for years and years. I was so pissed off. I was like, this would have been so great to post this. So yeah, my memories of Patterson are the announcer, WWE, with Vince McMahon in the early 80s. Him, his feud with Slaughter. Me and my brother also saw him fight Ken Patera. Before that, he fought Ken Patera for the Intercontinental title. He had actually lost the Intercontinental title to Ken Patera. But his mind for the business was really good. And again, Kurt Angle's another one that he helped put on the map. And a lot of the biggest stars, he, of course, pushed Shawn Michaels. So, yeah, I mean, his lineage and legacy is pretty solid. I mean, I heard Cornette do a whole hour on him the other day. I was listening to that. So whatever stuff that he might have did that from a moral compass, and let's be clear about something. It's not the moral compass of being against homosexuality. That wasn't it. It's using your sexuality and forcing it on somebody else to get them to do something so you could do them a favor. That's the whole thing. You know what I mean, Drew? It's not about him being gay.
Yeah.
It's not about him being gay. It's not it at all. It's no different than a boss who has a secretary come in, slaps her on the ass or whatever, telling her, oh, you look good today. You want to go out later? And girls either going to succumb to it and go, oh, what's the harm if I, flirt around with my boss or do something with him? Hey, I'm single. Like, again, it's not a criminal. It's not a crime. It's just you question it morally. But I think, in wrestling, it's kind of laughable because wrestling's such a seedy, shady place. And as someone in the shoot interview once said, you can go all day about the disgusting antics in wrestling. I mean, it's just no one should ever act holier than thou or surprised of anything you hear about what went on behind the scenes in wrestling in the late 70s, early 80s. I mean, let he who's without sin cast the first stone. Someone said there'd be rocks through everybody's windows for anybody who acts like they were the fucking beacon of Christianity or, more. Everyone was cheating on their wives. People were doing drugs. So, again, if you want to find something wrong with someone to condemn them where you're not going to give them credit for the things they did right, you could do that with anybody. You know what I'm saying, Drew? You could do that with anybody. But as far as mind for the business and what he did, strictly take that other stuff out of it, rumor mills or whatever, proven, not proven. Mind for the business, what he did behind the scenes, right-hand man for Vince McMahon, right-hand man for Vince and being a liaison for keeping law and order in the back during those days and kind of keeping everybody on their game and pushing the right people and go with the right angles, championships, Royal Rumble, all these stuff the concept of. He's a Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. I didn't like his ring work that much. To be honest with you, when I go back and watch him against Slaughter and the matches he had against Ken Patera, Patterson's punches were pretty shitty. You know what I mean? If you go back and watch his ring work, I wasn't crazy about Patterson's ring work at all. I don't know if you watched any Pat Patterson matches. I wasn't crazy about it. You know what I mean? I didn't like his style. You know what I mean? But other than that, I think he deserves the accolades that he got, and and again, as he seemed like a nice guy in that wrestler's house, in that wrestler thing that he did in the wrestler's house. He came off pretty likable. He was probably the least obnoxious and the less unsufferable out of all those characters. I far hated Tony Atlas more than I hated him, and I love Tony Atlas. So, But 79 is a good life. It's a good run. You know, I mean, I hope I can live to be 79. You know, 79, that's pretty good life.
And I'm going to point out something Mish put. He said he was singling out Harder because he was gay, and it's interesting he says that because Cornette on his podcast had alluded to that, you know, the reason why he was, you know, a part of that whole Ring Boy scandal and everything else was because he was gay, or because he was the only gay guy that was there.
Well, we don't know that. I mean, I wasn't paying attention to the chat anyway. I don't even have the chat on because I try to not look at the chat when I'm talking anymore because it distracts me. But you know, that's, you know, also you got to remember in that time there was other gay wrestlers, and he was just the most out about it. You know, and again, he had a powerful position, so you could say this or that, but you know, we don't know what went on. I mean, mine is just hearsay. So's Mish's. We don't know anything. We weren't there. But again, if you go by shoot interviews and stuff, I mean, you have to take the boys for what they say at face value to a degree. You know, but the Barry Orton thing has been said many, many times. And Barry Orton was on that Donahue show, and it's just strange that, again, he's, you know, it's Randy's uncle. And did Randy release anything about Pat Patterson? Did Randy release a statement? You know, you've seen everybody give a tribute. I don't know if was Randy part of that. I'm just curious if Randy said anything.
I have him on Instagram. Let me look it up. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, I'm curious if Randy said anything.
I mean, if he did, if he did or didn't, the other way it'd be pretty interesting. But let me have him right here. Yeah, he put up something. He said, it's a picture of him and Pat. He said, "Sad day, you'll be missed, Pat. You were one of a kind and helped me so much in and out of the ring. I'll miss you mostly because you were a very kind man. You always brought a smile to my face, even on a shitty day. Your family's in my thoughts. Hashtag RIP Pat Patterson."
And did he say, "Thanks for not leaving teeth marks on my uncle's cock"?
No. Let me go look. Let me go look back on that. Actually, he did. No playing.
He did. He said that.
No playing.
Oh, good Lord. Good Lord. In fairness, I can attest that Barry Orton, Barry O, was never going to be anything in the business. I've seen him wrestle more times than anybody. I've seen him at high schools. WWF used to do a Catholic school gymnasium things like fundraisers and stuff. I saw him at St. Rosa Lima, Thomas Aquinas. These are like when WWF in the early 80s used to do rent-a things with their wrestlers. Barry Orton was on every fucking card. Barry O. He was either Barry Orton or Barry. He was usually Barry O. And I don't think he was ever going to be anything, no matter how many fucking favors he did for anybody. So yeah, but it's funny. He has the Randy Orton, Bob Orton voice. He talks like Bob Orton, that gruff kind of voice. So I guess he was kind of the black sheep of the family. I don't think he was going to go anywhere in the business anyway. But and it was kind of, you know, he had the super mullet. If anybody can find a picture of Barry Orton, you look at him, you're like, yeah, I don't think he was going to be like Randy. He was kind of a small guy. He wasn't a big guy. The only thing you could tell he was an Orton was the way he talked. He talked just like Bob and Randy, like a combination of the two of them. Same voice. But yeah, Barry Orton, I must have seen wrestle about. There he is, Barry O. There he is. I must have seen Sean put up a picture of him. Classic. I must have seen him wrestle 30 times from 82 to 89, probably 30 times. So, you know, it's funny. I saw him against Al Perez in the dark match. And I saw him against Ultimate Warrior when Ultimate Warrior was still Dingo Warrior on the dark matches and on the Northeast before they put him to the main roster in October of '87. Barry Orton was always the test. If it wasn't Brooklyn Brawler, it was Barry Orton. It was Barry O. Barry O was like the second Brooklyn Brawler. As soon as you came into the territory, you work with him. Terry Taylor. I'm trying to think of even Tom. What was it? Tom Maggie. What was his name? Tom Maggie. Chris Walker was another guy. I don't know if anybody remembers Conan Chris Walker. He was another guy who was supposed to be a big deal. And then Barry Orton, they fed him to Barry Orton to him. So again, you know, Patterson, to me, you know, I go by his lineage of what he did behind the scenes, which is, again, great stuff. And they clearly missed his presence when he wasn't there. And you saw the dip in the quality of the product and the cohesiveness of the storylines and stuff. So yeah, again, if he wasn't an elderly man and been around a bunch of years, had he been, I didn't know what his health situation was. Because it was funny. I was listening to Bruce Pritchard, who I always find disingenuous. I'm sure we all agree on that. Everybody, I'm looking at the chat now so I can see the chat comments. That Bruce Pritchard is the most disingenuous, douchebaggy type of guy. I don't believe, I have a hard time believing Bruce Pritchard mourns anybody's loss or is friends with anybody. I think he's I can't stand Bruce Pritchard.
They did a show dedicated to Guerrero, and he seemed like he was genuinely sad about it.
I don't know. That guy, he doesn't, I like his brother Tom Pritchard a lot. Dr. Tom is great. I was a fan of Dr. Tom Pritchard well before he was in that stupid Zip and Zip tag team or whatever with Sonny. I'm talking about Tom Pritchard when he had a real career and was in the NWA and was in Continental, was in Florida wrestling when he was a real wrestler, not some joke like he was in WWE. But Bruce Pritchard just comes off so disingenuous. I don't believe him and Conrad. Conrad I'd like to a degree, but a combination of Conrad and Bruce Pritchard. I tried to listen to the show. I listened to about 15 minutes of it. And Bruce's fake crying. I believe they might have been friends, but I just so find him most disingenuous person in wrestling has got to be Bruce Pritchard. I don't buy it. I don't buy anything from him. And he's best friends with everybody. Well, Taker's my best friend. JBL's my best friend. How do you have so many best friends? How could you have 35 best friends? You have 35 best friends. That's my best friend. What'd you think of Scott Hall? Well, me and Scott are best friends. What? I highly doubt Undertaker remotely considers Bruce Pritchard one of his best friends. I doubt it. But Pat Patterson, listen, they worked closely together for many years. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be best friends. Again, Patterson, at least 79 is a good life. And what was the final deal on how he died? Does anybody know? What's the coroner report on that one? How did Patterson die? Anybody know? I didn't even hear about that before. It was natural causes. Was it cancer? What kind of cancer? I didn't even hear he had cancer. I didn't even know. Yeah. Anybody know what kind of cancer?
I don't even think I heard it because usually they would post it. Usually they'll post it a week later and say the final diagnosis.
Didn't hear anything about it. Yeah, didn't know anything about it. I think Jim Cornette said the same thing. He didn't even know Pat was sick. So it's but must have been the best kept secret because nobody really knew, or at least they weren't revealing it. That makes sense. If he died of prostate cancer or colon cancer, any of those men killers that get you in the 70s, it's no shock. But again, it was never even reported. You would have thought that WWE would have put it out there, thoughts and prayers for Pat, who's going through something. I guess they kept it secret,
I guess we'll find out in a couple of weeks. But
they're saying liver failure cancer. I really don't know. I'm not even going to speculate, but 5 people said 5 different things just now. So,
all right. So let's get into War Games, so we can close out the night. War Games was this past Sunday. There's the pre-show. I didn't see the pre-show. I don't know if you did.
No.
It was Legado del Fantasma defeating Kurt Stallion, Ashante the Adonis, and August Gray in a 6-man tag. Fantasma won in 7 minutes and 48 seconds. The first match to begin the actual show was the women's War Game match, which was Team Candice, Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, and Toni Storm against Team Shotzi, Shotzi Blackheart, Ember Moon, Rhea Ripley, and Io Shirai. The match was 35 minutes and 22 seconds, felt longer. I kind of had a back and forth with not just this one, but the men's one, because I don't know, maybe because I'm kind of getting a little older. The more and more I watch wrestling, the older I get. And I'm just like, do we always need weapons in these kind of matches? Because it's War Games. The cage is enough. You don't really need weapons. A chair like a chair, whatever. A table's fine. Do we need 1,000 kendo sticks? Do we need a small, tiny hammer that's going to hit a 150-pound girl that's going to get up like 5 seconds later? Like, it just... I'm not saying I didn't enjoy the match. I actually enjoyed the match. I liked it, but it's just like, why do we need too many gimmicks on something that's already a gimmick? It's like what Cornette says. It's a hat on a hat. Like, why do we need all these gimmicks?
Well, it's anything goes. I mean, War Games is the War Games. I mean, think about it. In war, weapons are used in war. I mean, the concept is obvious. And, that it's in the title, War Games. I mean, the cage is really not enough. Because what are you going to use the cage? The cage, you can throw somebody into it, but you can't pull the cage down on top of somebody. And if you have somebody in the middle of the ring, they never even have to hit the cage because they can just hit the ropes without touching the cage. Again, the war, it's in the title, War Games. And in the old War Games, which I got a chance to see War Games in 85, or it was 86, because they did the loop with War Games in the Northeast. They did it everywhere, Maryland, Philly, New Jersey. They did they brought the War Games on tour in the mid 80s in the NWA. And occasionally they had chain wrapped around the fist. They didn't have kendo sticks or anything like that, but people bought chairs in the ring. They definitely had chains around the fist. I remember Nikita Koloff specifically used the chain where he was bashing everybody in the face with it when he was still a heel as part of the Russians. So it's been done before. And then there was these clean War Games matches where there was no weapons in the ring. But someone usually has a foreign object or had a spike in their J.J. Dillon one time had a spike in his trunks and, like the old spike they used to use, like these Sheik used to use. So it's been done before. I don't mind that. I mean, I don't even think that's really a bone of contention. Anything goes, and it's supposed to be anarchy. It's supposed to be anarchy inside a confined area. So it's all in the title, War Games. It's at war. What's war? Weapons of war. So as long as it's not, I'm surprised someone didn't bring a gun in there and shoot somebody.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not saying I hated the match. I'm not even really saying I hated the weapons. It's just like, I don't know. I just thought it was a little bit too much. But overall, I enjoyed the match. I thought Raquel Gonzalez was like her coming out party. Like, this was really what made her a star. This match. If anything's going to make somebody a star, it's this match, or at least somebody. The only spot I wasn't crazy about was when Rhea Ripley pulled out that small hammer and hit Dakota Kai, and then Dakota Kai ends up getting up. It's like, if you're going to get hit with a hammer, you need to stay down, or at least sell that you have some broken ribs or something. But other than that, everything else I enjoyed. Mish is saying Dakota Kai doesn't know how to sell a hammer. Yeah, you're probably right. She never felt it. The spot with Io jumping off the cage with the trash can, I'm not gonna lie, I like that. I enjoyed it. I mean,
it was silly, but it was fun. It was something different, but it was kind of silly.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, Io knows how to really sell these kind of matches. If it's like a TLC steel cage type of gimmick, she knows how to make this match her own. What else happened? Candice ended up, breaking her hand on that spot from Shotzi jumping off the ladder. And everything about the match, it was solid. I enjoyed it. I didn't get bored. And then fast forward to the end of the match, Raquel ends up, what was it, like a one-arm powerbomb on Io to the ladder? Mm. And then she pins her, which, again, that's surprising because Raquel, she's kind of in a weird spot because, like, according, Don Tony had said she actually was with NXT for 5 years. Like, she's been developmental for 5 years, and this year was on a takeover in February in Portland. That's when she debuted. And for somebody that's only been on TV for 10 months, she's not terrible in the ring.
Well, she wasn't on TV, but she's been training for all these years. I mean, she's been here for a long time, doing nothing from what we see, but doing stuff. And she was making the tour loop, in the towns in Florida where they had NXT. She would be on the card, honing her craft in front of, 200 people, whatever. in St. Petersburg or whatever, they would be all over Florida. So, I mean, yeah, she wasn't on television for national eyes, but in the state of Florida, she was seen often. So again, just honing her skills, honing her craft, which they do with a lot of people. They do that with a lot of people. They definitely want to make her the new China, in my opinion, kind of the Latina China. As they say, China without having to worry about videos coming out of her being DP'd. But
we don't know that for sure. But
I think they asked her that before they hired her. They hired her.
Okay.
It was only in my personal life, not on video. Not on video. It's not on video. I didn't do anything with Tom Byron or Ron Jeremy. She got better. She was kind of awkward, I think, months ago, and I think she's kind of gotten better as time has gone on. And she looks a lot more confident. I mean, I was watching her tonight, and she looked pretty good in there with Ember Moon, and I'm glad she got the clean pin on Ember Moon. Ember Moon to me is just, if she manages to make it to WrestleMania without being released, it'll be a miracle. Putting her Ember Moon in NXT hasn't rejuvenated her at all, in my opinion. But Gonzalez is going to be something, I think. They want that woman who's like attractive and tall and checks all the boxes. Now, her talking ability, I'm not sure on. I only heard her talk briefly one time. So I don't know. Got to check out her promo. But then in China's promo was horrible. I mean, China couldn't talk for shit. But I think that's what they always wanted, another big woman who was jacked, but who was marketable and who could be a heel or a babyface. And I think they have it with her. I mean, they might. And the fact that she's a Latina. Again, let's see what happens. She's gotten a lot better. Listen, she's still got a ways to go, but I think she put on a good match tonight with Ember Moon. Because she's been in a lot of tag matches in the last bunch of weeks, on TV. So I think, but we're overlooking the person who this whole match was supposed to really be more about. I mean, you mentioned her briefly. I didn't mention her at all yet. Shotzi Blackheart. I mean, the whole thing was centered around Shotzi, who had a nice entrance and got a brand new giant tank. That looks like twice the size of the old one, doesn't it? It looks like she's got even a better one now.
Right.
And she came out to look like the music was a little bit more enhanced. I don't remember that being her theme. Much more up-tempo, heavy metal type of song. I liked it. I'm still not too sold on her yet. I mean, Shotzi Blackheart, obviously Triple H is always taking pictures with her. I think he's really sweet on her. And so I think she's obviously going to get the big push. So I think Gonzalez and Shotzi Blackheart benefit the most from that situation. You're looking at two future women's stars and that. The rest of them, and Ember Moon, to me, I think is disposable. I don't think Ember Moon's going to be here for a long haul. If there was a list of WrestleMania cuts before or after, she'll be on it, unless some miracle happens. Ember Moon just has never connected. She's just never connected. And people, again, can go back 2 years ago. She tore it up. It's now. That's great. I know a lot of people who tore it up 5 years ago and 2 years ago. I tore it up back in '87 in high school. I mean, I always laugh when people throw years ago what people did. It's like, okay, now present time. What is she? Well, we're just going to let her live off that reputation from NXT 3 years ago. That's not gonna work. That's not good enough. She has to be good now or be good in the future. The reason she's still here is because they're letting her slide off of that fucking rep. And the fact that she's Booker T's girl, but I think even Booker's going to be like, fucking release her. What do you want me to do? I don't even think lately Booker's acting indifferent to Ember Moon. I hear him comment. I think he's kind of disappointed with the way she's gained some weight. She's let herself go a little bit. Again, I'm not feeling her. Toni Storm, I think, as a heel, they rushed that too quick. There's no real explanation of why she turned. That was a weird turn. Wasn't that strange? Toni Storm just, I'm bad guy now. I'm bad now. There was no real build up to that at all.
Even her promo tonight, like they asked her, why did she turn on, why did you turn on Ember Moon? She's like, pretty much, I'm just paraphrasing. She's like, just because. Like, and it's just weird because it's like, okay, again, I'm paraphrasing, but it's just like that's what it seemed like to me because she was like, oh, just because.
Would you like to say, I don't know why I'm a bad guy now. I'm not even sure. I don't know why.
And I like Tony Storm. I don't mind Tony Storm as a heel, but it's just like we need a reason why, not just because, I just need to fill a slot. But I'm a good guy now.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think it's all, the women's division is still one of the top things about NXT. I mean, AEW, none of them can fuck with it. Even Impact, they have some good girls there, but NXT is far superior to anybody. I mean, I like Candice LeRae. A lot of people are like not feeling this pixie gimmick thing. I think she's okay. I like Candice LeRae. I like her new, her bad girl thing. I don't mind it. I don't like, again, the name of the new group, The Way, is like, again, creative, so stifled, man.
I think it's a take from The Mandalorian. I don't know if anyone on here watches Mandalorian, but I guess the whole tagline of Mandalorian's group is "This is the way."
Someone said to me, "Do you watch The Mandalorian or Star Wars?" And I said, "No, I like girls." And it was just the funniest thing. She started laughing hysterical, and it was just some flippant remark I said.
Well, I mean, I'm not a Star Wars guy in general. My girl is, but I just started watching the show just because to see how it goes. But
is that Amazon Prime? I don't know.
No, it's Disney Plus.
I don't have that either. So
but yeah, like the tagline with Mandalorian's group is "This is the way." So I guess that's what they're borrowing it from. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me because Gargano's kind of a man child. He's a nerd like me, but
tonight he was every bit of Ben Stiller. He reminds me of Ben Stiller. Like, there's no doubt. He is
in his leisure suit.
Ben Stiller. No, to the way he looks like Ben Stiller. He's the size of Ben Stiller. He has the physique of Ben Stiller. He looks like Ben Stiller. I don't see a difference, to be honest with you. Ben Stiller could put him in the movie as a brother.
On that mark, next match, we got Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher in a singles match, 60 minutes and 46 seconds. I thought this was a pretty good match. It was pretty solid.
It's all right.
It's kind of weird that there was blood in this, but there wasn't any blood in the War Games match. But whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's weird because I looked at this as like, I guess Ciampa needed the win because he was kind of due for a win. But ever since not Ciampa, Thatcher beat Matt Riddle in that was it that Fight Pit match? That was that's like the last like high profile match he's ever actually won. Like I don't know what they're doing with Thatcher because I'm not saying he can be a main event guy. I'm saying he can be something. Like he can at least be something, but I don't know what they're trying to do with him.
He's neither here nor there. I understand, so I was listening to some podcasts to describe him, Jason Solo Monster and JD, and they both said they can't really get into this guy. Like they don't. What is he? Like it's just, he's just kind of there. Thatch Can. I don't even think people, even younger fans, know what Thatch Can is even a takeoff of. They don't even know what Catch Can wrestling is. It's such an old term that's so outdated. It's like Lou Thez kind of shit. And people barely want to, do research. They don't even know who, Chris Adams is in world class. They're not going to know who Lou Thez is. There's such there's such a bad history education with most modern wrestling fans. They don't know anything before Rock and Wrestling Hulk Hogan. Very rare. And most podcasters don't either. They can look it up and you could tell when someone doesn't know anything and they researched it, which kind of makes me even more sick. I'd rather have someone just say, I never heard of it. So Thatcher's whole thing is a throwback to the shooters, Dean Malenko's father and Lou Thez and Ed Strangler Lewis and stuff like that. And it's not going to register with young fans today. It's not going to register with anybody. It does barely registers with me. It wouldn't register with somebody 10 years my senior. So that's the problem with that gimmick. It's all like, Kurt Angle's different because Kurt Angle's an Olympian. Kurt Angle was funny and humorous. Kurt Angle took real wrestling and being a shooter and rolled it up with entertainment and silliness and catchphrases and stuff. Thatcher doesn't have that. He doesn't have that in him. And Sean is saying gritty, dirty shoot wrestler. Sean, that's fine, but people don't relate to that. You know, the modern fan relates to the flippy wrestler. You know, the Young Bucks, Brian Pillman Jr., no flips, they're not interested. So someone who's taking someone to the mat and doing rest holds, they're not interested in that. People are bored with that. They don't want to see someone in a half Nelson for 10 minutes. So, again, they're not doing Thatcher any favors at all. Cosmetically, he looks like, again, he reminds me of a little bit before he went fully bald. What's the Drama King's name, his old gimmick, the Vaudevillains?
Oh,
what's that dude's name? Guerrero's husband, Aiden English. He looks like Aiden English to a degree, and almost that kind of gimmickly. And when you look back at Aiden English and his old partner, their whole thing was from that yesteryear of the old tough guy, regular guy look, but this guy could take you down with 50 different holds and stuff. There's really no end game to that kind of gimmick. It's just like what you see is what you get gimmick. Unfortunately, flash style and flips is still what sells to today. So again, even in AEW, he would be nowhere. He's good. They got to come up with something for him. They got to give him something. Thatch Can is never going to catch on, never going to be anything. So they got to come up with something for him. They got to come up with some sort of catchphrase, some sort of gimmick, or he's going to be nowhere. It's just not going to work. And you could tell that's what's going to happen with him. He can have great matches all along, but he'll just be that guy's like, yeah, I like him, but I just don't see him on a big marquee or being any kind of big deal. Again, at this point, you got to be able to separate yourself. Going up to the dreaded main roster. Now, going up to the main roster is scary enough when you're carrying Cross, or you got a lot to offer, and you got catchphrases and TikTok and Scarlett, and you're already worried about him. Can you imagine a guy like Thatcher? He's dead before he's arrived there. Look at Keith Lee. All he had to offer, and Keith's finding his way a little bit, but still going to the main roster is brutal enough when you have a catchphrase and you're over. When you're not, and you have no catchphrase and you're plain Jane and you're just this guy who can work, what is that? What will become of you? Well, the answer is nothing. So again, I like him as far as potential, but they got to find a win. They got to find something for him, and unfortunately, that's almost like a joke, because what is creative really found for anybody? You got to remember, Karrion Kross came in with his own gimmick. It's basically a twist on his Killer Kross gimmick that him and Scarlett were honing their craft for the last 2 years on the road with, right? So you got, that's ready made. Damian Priest, Punishment Martinez was already, again, there's bits and pieces of his old character that he had that he just incorporated with some new ideas. But Thatcher's got nothing. How would you even describe Thatcher? Like Sean just said, a dirty shoot wrestler. But what does that mean? So he's a modern day Dick Slater, and is the world really looking for a new Dick Slater? And you know what's else? Half the wrestling fans are gonna go like this: who's Dick Slater? Right? So again, what are you gonna do?
I don't know if you want to be called Dick Slater, but yeah,
that's what he reminds me of.
Yeah, but Ciampa, I'm interested to see what they do with him. I can see Ciampa maybe going for another title run, but I don't see them putting the title on him, because I think it was you that said this, because you were on Wrestling Court with Julian, where you said, at this point it looks like Ciampa is just going to be the guy that puts over the other guys, which is fine. There's no shame in that, because Ciampa obviously wants to be an NXT lifer. He's made it clear he doesn't want to go to the main roster. So
even though I was shocked to know that he was 35, I thought he was like 42. I had no idea he was 35. Did anybody in the chat know that Ciampa was that young, 35? I had no idea. I thought he was well over 40. I had no clue he was 35.
So that means in 05 when he did that gimmick as Muhammad Hassan's lawyer, he was 20.
He was 20. Yeah, he was 20.
Holy shit.
Well, wait a second. Somebody in the chat is saying Thatcher is older than Ciampa. Is that true?
Let me look this up. Right,
Thatcher is older than Ciampa. Is that true?
Timothy Thatcher, age
37.
Timothy Thatcher is 37 years old.
Oh yeah.
Wow, 37. Where the fuck has he been? Is he how long has he been in wrestling? 37?
I
Holy
think.
shit.
I mean, I think he's been around for a while because, like, when they signed him, I literally had no clue who he was. And usually, I'll hear names, and I've never even heard his name when they signed him.
Wow. Well, Sean's saying he's a quiet indie darling. That's why they got him. Wow, just 37. He must have been on quite a journey as a
He
journeyman.
debuted in '05.
Wow, 15-year vet. Jeez, I only heard of him like 2 years ago.
He was with MLW, PWG, Progress Wrestling, Preston City Wrestling, Westside Extreme Wrestling, and Combat Zone.
Wow. Yeah, I heard his name only a couple of years ago. That's amazing. Yeah, from Evolve. That's where I knew his name from. That's amazing to me. I didn't even know that. Like I said, he wasn't a guy I really looked up. I mean, he looked older, from the receding hair and kind of his face. He looked like an older man, but I wasn't sure. Again, that's amazing that they signed him. And I guess they're going to waste no time. If a guy like that at that age, they can't keep like Raquel Gonzalez and just put him in dark matches on the road. They gotta, if he's got that much experience, they gotta put him on TV right away. But again, I would think in 15 years he would have had some sort of gimmick, something that, again, the Thatch is Thatch can because it rhymes with catch as catch can is just, it's not going to cut it in the major leagues. It's just not. That's a super indie gimmick. I mean, that's not going to work, and it's not working because clearly the ratings are shitty when he's on.
I mean, yeah, I'm a fan, but yeah, I can see where you're coming from. He's not going to move the needle. He's just going to be a guy that can, I guess, just be an ass kicker, but be. What's the best way to put it? He'll basically be a Bob Holly-ish.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. And listen, maybe he's even come to the state of mind that he at least made it to the WWE. If he is, an enhancement guy or a guy who's on the undercard, that's good enough for him. Again, that's fine. Not everybody's. They're not grooming everybody to be the world champion, and I think it's obvious who they are grooming to be champion, who they're grooming just to be part of the card. And maybe he can help, and he could maybe be one of those guys that they maybe see a few years from now. He could be a trainer in NXT or be someone behind the scenes that, having all that experience can, knowing the life of an independent wrestler can maybe help the young guys. So maybe there's an investment there of utilizing him after it's all said and done. That could be the case. Maybe he's like behind the scenes, Again, you really don't know, but you look at him and you see what his background is and stuff, maybe a couple years in the ring, and then maybe Triple H has an idea for him as a trainer, which would make sense to me. And if that's the case, then that's pretty smart.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad idea. Same thing for, Ciampa. Ciampa, alluded to that he wants to be a trainer when he's done. So, I mean, the future's already kind of set for NXT. So,
Cal is saying that cocaine ages the fuck out of you. Is that true?
I mean, through my years of doing cocaine, Kevin, I don't know.
No, let me tell you, Drew. I can tell right off the bat that you have never done cocaine. So,
I have never touched cocaine.
There's no way you've done cocaine.
I've done weed and Xanax. That's about it. I've never actually done cocaine.
You're more you would be a downer drug guy, not an upper drug guy. If you were going to be a drug guy at all.
Okay. So, yes.
I could tell everybody's personality if they're an upper or a downer. You're definitely a downer. You're not an upper type guy. I can't picture you like all amped up and like jumping on top of people and like, let's wrestle. Like, I can't picture you being like that.
Well, no, I mean, it's never really been my thing. I mean, because weed's never really been my thing. It was more just like I'd be with friends. It's like, hey, you want to smoke? I'm like, sure, I guess. And it was never something I would go after. Same thing with like alcohol. Like, I never actively want to drink. It's one of those things like if it's there, I'll drink it. Like if I'm, with my friends or I'm with, family or for like a social thing, I'm going to drink. But but as far as like the hardcore drugs, like, coke, never touched it. Funny story. In high school, I was in the bathroom and there was a guy in the stall next to me. And I just hear, hey, is anyone here? I'm like, I'm here. He's like, I'm gonna do some lines, don't tell anyone. I'm like, okay, I don't even know who you are, but all right. And he just goes, you want some? I go, no, I'm good.
And that was it?
That was it. I just walked away. I just took my shit and walked away. But
just telling that story just proved my point that you are not on cocaine.
Yeah, it's just like
if you were on cocaine, you know how that story would go.
Oh.
Kev, check this out. Kev, look, I was in the bathroom, and see, you don't talk like that. And if you talk like that, I knew there'd be something wrong with you.
So, okay, what do you think about War Games? What do you think about War Games? Let's get to the next match.
It's the Tom Arnold way. If you had the Tom Arnold jittery shakes and you talked like rapid fire talking, you know, that would be the cocaine. That would be the cocaine thing. But you're more like, I could picture you being more of a pot guy, like a chill guy. You know, so
yeah.
Again, you can kind of tell people's personalities.
Yeah, like I tried Xanax on New Year's once, and it kind of freaked me out. Like I was done.
Yeah, see, someone said that Mish is probably on coke. I would never think Mish would be on coke. Mish is another chill guy. Like, you know, Mish, if anything, would be pot smoker, but I don't even know him to be that. I mean, I don't know. You know, I never asked him about that. But I would never think that Mish would be a coke guy. He's not that personality. He's not that personality. You know, my brother Draper, on the other hand, no, like I would say, you know, if I was going to accuse a podcaster of being on coke, but I know he's not, would be JD. See the way JD is all amped up and screaming and yelling and high and low, but he doesn't do drugs. I know that for a fact, but that's his gimmick. But if you were going to say something, that would be the behavior pattern of somebody like that. That just, you know, just fucking going crazy on the air and just not even knowing how to stop themselves. But also if it's a gimmick, that's different. But that would be a cocaine reaction. But Drew Yari, not on cocaine. I'll make it official on this show.
Well, thank you. That could be the title for tonight's show. Drew Yari not on cocaine.
And Mish not on cocaine. I will take up for you on that. And if you do cocaine, you have fooled me, guys. Let me tell you.
Missionary, do I have your permission to have that as the title? Drew Yari.
No, don't put that in the title. Don't put that in the title. That's ridiculous.
I'll think of a different title. But it's funny how we just talked about cocaine for no reason. But yeah, next match, I did not have sex with that cocaine. Next match is the strap match with Dexter Lumis and Karen Grimes. Your thoughts?
Enjoyable. I liked it. I liked that match. I like both guys. I've done a complete 180 on Cameron Grimes. I mean, I get it that he's kind of like the NXT version of The Miz. He's kind of in every show and he's out there and they're giving him a lot of TV time, but he brings something to the table character-wise. He knows his character. He's the annoying fly buzzing around your head heel. Even if he's going to be to do the job, he's going to get in his offense. He's going to do something to try and get back at you. And again, he's gotten himself over. I don't think any creative people have gotten him over. He's gotten himself over. And I give credit for that. He knows his character. I am the pain in the ass, always fucking in the mix, always starting trouble. He's the Woody Woodpecker of NXT. He's always in the mix, jumping somebody, starting shit, talking shit. And he's annoying and he knows he's irritating. He knows his gimmick. He will be employed for a long time with WWE. He's a smart man, you know, and he is comes from the Omega crew with the Hardys and all those guys. Gregory Helms, you know, he was one of the young boys back then. They were teenagers. He was a little kid. His dad was involved in Omega, so he's got a lot of lineage there in the Carolina crew. And he knows the system. He knows the business. He knows how to get himself a job. And he did, and he's going to be around for a while. You're going to see him around for a while. Dexter Lumis, I love. I just love the haircut and the mustache and the music. And again, some people might even say, I don't know about him. Like I'm kind of on the fence. Maybe he should talk. You know, maybe he should. So you know, listen, when he was Sam Shaw in Impact, I loved his promos when he was scaring the shit out of what's her name,
Christy Hemme.
Christy Hemme. I mean, if you guys ever seen some of his work as Sam Shaw with Christy Hemme in Impact, he was really scary. I mean, and even like when he would go in the locker room and he'd press up against her and he'd be whispering in her ear. He's got it. He can talk. I even seen him on Cameo do some stuff for people on Cameo, and he was great. So people, oh no, he shouldn't talk. No. I think he should talk. I think at one point he should talk. I don't think they should do the silent killer thing. I think that's going to hurt him because then people can connect to him. If he does have some promos, has some humor in his promos, creepy humor, people will dig that. So I don't agree that he should be a silent killer. I think he should, and I wouldn't even mind if he mixed some comedic shit. He's already doing that. If you saw that House of Horrors thing that he did with Cameron Grimes, he was funny in a way, you know. And I quick story. I saw he did a cameo for a friend of mine, and even Cross has told me how funny Sam Shaw is in real life. Like, this guy is promos. You think I'm good? This guy is really good. So, and he did a cameo for a friend of mine, and for her husband. And when he was telling the husband, you better treat this girl good. If not, I'm going to come looking for you. He goes, and you're probably saying, hey, Dexter Loomis, how would I know where to find you? He goes, I know everything about everybody. You know how? I got it all right up here. That's to his head. And I just thought it was so brilliant. And Cross was right. I'm like, this guy's got it. Like, they got to let him talk. So I when I saw that, I said, God, he should do that on TV. I got it all right up here if I'm looking for you. I mean, that'll get over. I was like that. I was like, that's it. That hit me. I'm like, how does Triple H not see that and say, this guy's got to do that on TV every week? Like, I'm coming for you, and I got your information in here. Like, you point to your head. Brilliant shit. And if he does it, you know where that came from? A cameo, guys, by the way. If you see him do that, he was doing that on Cameo for fans. So before WWE took over their accounts and everything, this was a few months ago. But yeah, it was a friend of mine. He's like, oh, you know, Dexter Loomis, I got him to do a cameo for my husband. And it was great. And I said, he's got to do that in real life. So again, going on and on about him, the bottom line is he's a great character. I hope they let him talk. And I love what he's doing with the serial killer thing, but just let him have some personality. And I think people are afraid, then they're going to kill him off. He's going to be like a goofy serial, let him be this psycho. Yeah, for now, but eventually he'll have to turn babyface. And he is a babyface technically now, isn't he, Drew? Isn't he a good guy?
Yes.
Technically?
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's, it's the evolution of a character. It's got to change. And he's done this before. Again, the reason this is successful, the reason Cross is getting over, they took what they did at Impact or on the Independents, and they took a little bit of new information in from the NXT. Steven Regal, Triple H, do this, incorporate it with what you were doing over here, and put it all together. And that's what Loomis and Cross are doing, and that's why it's registering with people. So I liked it. And Grimes, I didn't like him a couple months ago, and I did a 180 on him, and I'm giving him credit now. He's a good hand, and again, he's going to be employed for a while. If he stays injury free, he's going to be fine.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how much I enjoyed the match, because I'm glad this feud's done, because Loomis needs to move on, Grimes needs to move on, because
yep.
I like both guys, because I mean Grimes, yeah. It's funny you say that, because Draper kind of said the same thing, that, well, in a more not so positive way, but that Grimes and the Miz are kind of like in that stalemate of, they seem like guys that the company really loves, and they want to put on TV all the time. And I told Draper, because you actually told me this like a couple weeks ago, that when I had RJ on the show, or when I had RJ and you on the show, that Miz is a company man. He's reliable, and that's what Grimes seems like. He seems like someone who's reliable, and he's not opposed to doing the goofy comedy stuff, because he can actually pull it off, and he can also wrestle. So yeah, this match I liked. I enjoyed it. Loomis, I love the character, and I agree with you. He needs to talk, because I actually did listen to not listen, but I watched all of his Impact Wrestling stuff when he was Sam Shaw, and I'm like you. I'm like, this. Why aren't they letting this guy talk? Like this
exactly,
guy can, this guy can actually talk. It's usually they do this, or they put mouthpieces with people that can't talk. This guy can actually talk. I don't get why they're giving him the Dexter, serial killer gimmick. I'm fine with the gimmick, but let the guy talk. So I'm pretty sure it's going to happen soon, because I know. I mean, I'm not saying I know Triple H, well, but I know that he's not a dummy. I know he knows talent. So I don't know who's telling this guy not to talk, but again, I enjoyed the match. I liked the physicality. I liked how it began with just Grimes kind of taking over and just kind of, even though the match was no DQ, he was kind of doing his own rules.
Yeah.
And in the end, Loomis got the win, which he should. So let me ask you something about Loomis. So realistically, how far, like as far as his glass ceiling goes, like what's his glass ceiling?
IC title, U.S. title. I mean, again, with that character, unless they let him evolve, and become, more, again, evolve. Like Undertaker. Undertaker came in, dead man walking, Paul Bearer. He doesn't talk. Then he starts talking. Then again, the evolution of a character. He has to grow as a character. And he's no spring chicken either. He's over 30 years old. He's been in the business over 10 years. He's seasoned. It's the time, you got to do this sooner than later with these guys. I think the glass ceiling now for him is that even in NXT, the glass ceiling is North American Championship. I don't think he'll win the NXT title unless they're really desperate, unless Vince McMahon decides to go crazy post or pre-WrestleMania, send Cross, Scarlett, and Undisputed Era, especially Adam Cole, all to the main roster. Then Dexter Loomis will be a top 3 guy there, and he can possibly win the title. Damian Priest stays on the right course. He could be a top guy, but Loomis is not that far behind him. His glass ceiling right now is North American title. If he goes to the main roster, his glass ceiling would be U.S. Intercontinental title, but not World Championship, not with that character. You got to talk. First of all, how could he win the World Championship? He'd have to talk, right? Even winning the North American title, he's not going to do a promo. You know what I mean? What are we doing here? He doesn't have a manager. He doesn't have a female valet. Again, someone might not be thinking about this now, but something to think about. Again, even, the takeoff on his character, Dexter from the American Psycho. The American Psycho character was a, if anything, shocked the people and let Sam Shaw talk almost in a Damien Sandow way. Remember the old Damien Sandow gimmick, the over-intelligent, guy, the intellect. Maybe make him like that, and then people will be like, wow, this guy, like, made Sam Shaw like almost like this highly intelligent guy where he's charming. And just like the way he was pursuing Christy Hemme, and then he turned psycho, or have him have the 2 personalities where he's very intellect and calm and cool, like the way, what's his name played it? Christian Bale played American Psycho, right? And then when he goes off, he goes off. So that it's clear as day to me that they should do that with him. Have a Cain and Abel type of, or a Gemini, 2-sided coin, 2-face type of guy, like a Two-Face. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The intellect, where he gets on the mic and he's charming, and he puts, and then when he goes off, he goes off. I think it's obvious, and I don't know why they don't do that. And I hope that they do, or his glass ceiling will be just that. And if you have a glass ceiling on somebody, then why even bother to develop a character?
Yeah, you're right. In closing, before we get to the next match, Loomis, that's a guy that if you just let him be him, like if you just let him talk and really evolve the character, and not trying to compare anything, but Taker, when he first came in, he was quiet, and then he talked, and then he evolved the character. I'm not saying Loomis could have an Undertaker career. I'm saying he could possibly have that career if they just let him be him. If they just let him kind of do his own thing and talk, because he has the look. He has the look of a top guy. Right. But again, like you said, he needs to talk first, because you can't be a top guy if you don't talk. Fuck, are you fucking kidding me? You've got to be fucking kidding me. Right, it's saying I'm live on here. It's saying I'm live on Spreaker, but for whatever reason, I got disconnected from Discord. You've got to be fucking kidding me.
Let's see. Drew,
Yeah,
you
look,
there?
I'm here.
All right, Drew's back. We thought the Santa Ana winds might have gotten the best of you. Mish was ready to step in.
Mish playing the role of Drew Yari. What's
He
going
was
on?
ready. He was trying to get into his Drew Yari character. But unfortunately, he had no cocaine available, so he could not get into character.
God damn it.
What happened?
Mish?
Yeah, Mish is on. You can see Mish to the right of the corner, I think.
I could see. I don't know. I don't know what happened because I remember you were telling me that it was breaking up, so I was thinking, okay, I guess I'll just like disconnect. And I was trying to connect back. What?
I'm just laughing because I think the new thing should be when it's breaking up. Sean, institute a thing where you put up the picture of the robot from Rocky IV. That'll be the universal single that your robotic breaking up voice. We put up the picture of Paulie and the robot, and that'll be the new thing. So this way it'll be a single. And we don't have to sell it over the air, and this way we're like, oh, okay, we know what's going on. There it is. That's the new symbol when audio is fucked up. So this way we don't got to oversell it on the air. We kind of know what's going on. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, like my internet went up for probably 30, 40 seconds. So I don't know what happened, but anyways, I'm back now, so that's all that matters.
No, yeah, I know we got like a couple more matches. So we closed out the Dexter Loomis and the Cameron Grimes. So the next match is what?
Yeah, the triple threat. I was saying, before I got disconnected, that this is probably my least favorite match. I mean, because Priest is a star, and just Gargano, I'm not crazy about. He kind of has go away heat with me personally. Leon Ruff, I like him somewhat. I mean, because he has a likability factor. He seems like a nice kid. But yeah, Priest, I'm kind of glad he's moving on from this feud and working with Cross. Gargano won with the help from the Ghost Faces, and ended up being Austin Theory, which was kind of what I thought the whole time. So,
did you think that? I didn't know who was going to be. By the way, I was kind of surprised to see him. I didn't. That was my least favorite match too. I mean, I like Damian Priest. Johnny Gargano, I'm kind of sick of, and he's blocked me anyway on Twitter, so I'm kind of personally don't like him anymore. And Leon Ruff, to me, is just another version of what's the chinless guy's name? Chinless guy. What's his name?
Oh, no, Chin. Not James Ellsworth.
James Ellsworth. He's another James Ellsworth, in my opinion.
I don't
Leon Ruff, dude, he's a goof. He's not going to be anything. He's the same guy Karrion Kross choked out his debut a couple of months ago. He's a job guy. I mean, what is he? He wasn't anything in Evolve. So again, he's to me, he's kind of like a joke guy. Not even in a Ron Killings way, because Ron looks good and you can market Ron. Ron's got a physique and he's got charisma. This kid's Ellsworth, in my opinion. I don't know who the joke is on by giving him a push. I don't get the whole thing of what the distraction was to take the title off of somebody or whatever to put it on him. Now, what next week he's going to team up with Kushida because they're going to sell Damian Priest being beat up by Karrion Kross. So if you saw tonight on NXT during the Leon Ruff interview backstage when Johnny Gargano and what's his name were kind of harassing him, he's like, "Oh, who are you going to get for a partner now? Damian Priest Damian Priest is out." So then Kushida came, and they're going to team up next week. But I don't think Leon Ruff is. I don't think they're grooming him for anything. I think I'm not sure what the point of that was. And Gargano got the title, and now he's they got to chase him. He's got the heel faction now with the Way, this new group with these 4 people. So yeah, now Gargano's going to be the guy to be chased. So I kind of get that. But it was my least favorite match. I do like Damian Priest, but I'm totally hating on Priest if he's going to be fighting Karrion Kross. I want to see Kross destroy him. So tonight I was not a Priest fan.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from. But like I mentioned, kind of my least favorite match of the night. It wasn't a terrible match, but it was just...
It was all right.
It was kind of predictable. Like, as soon as Priest went for his move, I was like, okay, the Ghostface guys are coming out now. And they came out, so... now we're to the main event, which is the men's War Games match, the Undisputed Era versus, what do they call it, the Kings of Wrestling, or the whatever?
Kings of NXT.
Kings of NXT, there you go. Pat McAfee, Lorcan and Orny Lorcan and Danny Burch and Pete Dunne. Yeah, again, you kind of knew this was going to be a good match, because the guys that were in it. Both War Games matches I thought really brought it. They're very solid. I think the women's War Games was maybe a little bit better. But I'm not saying this was like worse, but I kind of enjoyed the women's War Games a little bit. This match, I'm kind of surprised that Undisputed Era won. Because I for a second, I kind of thought McAfee's group was going to win. Because I just assumed they're going to try and, I guess, continue this feud in like a big blow-off match. But I guess this was the blow-off match.
Right.
So, but whatchamacallit? Yeah, O'Reilly got the pin. He got the final pin, which was surprising. So I don't know if they're going to continue to push O'Reilly. I don't know what they're going to do with Adam Cole. I don't know if they're going to put him on the main roster or what. But overall good match. I thought it. If I can make one complaint, I think it lasted a little bit too long. I think it was a little bit anticlimactic towards the end. Like the whole spot when the Undisputed Era ganged up on McAfee and just started beating the shit out of him. I just thought, okay, this is the end of the match. No, it's not the end. Like it just kept continuing. So
right.
But that's my only criticism. Good match. I mean, the War Games matches don't really disappoint. What were your thoughts?
I thought it was a good match. I enjoyed it. I thought it was even. What I liked about it was very even as far as because you could say Pat McAfee doesn't have the experience and what, but he went toe-to-toe with Adam Cole a few months ago in that match, and he's been impressive ever since. And I thought he's the guy that you want to see get caught and get his ass beat, and they gave you that in that match, the comeuppance of what everyone wanted to see him, which was get his ass kicked by not just Adam Cole. We saw that already. Want to see the other guy ever get a piece of him. And McAfee, it really impressed me. He's the best outsider to ever wrestle in the business, ever. Dennis Rodman, that guy Green, the football player. Those guys got nothing on this guy. This guy is the best guy who came from an outside entity and came into wrestling, high-profile matches, and delivered. I have never seen WWF, NWA, AWA. Everyone's had celebrities in wrestling. Old WCW. This guy is the best, without a doubt. That flip off the ring, and even the way he sold really good. And I watch him, and I don't know if you guys do the same thing. You watch McAfee to see if he makes mistakes, see if he takes a bump the wrong way, see if he doesn't sell a punch. He's so good. He's precision. I mean, I was looking to say, see, he took that the wrong way. He didn't even land right. And I can't even say that. This guy is definitely a student of the game. I believe that he has been watching wrestling since he's 7 years old and has been wanting to be a wrestler his whole life. I totally believe it. I don't know anybody who can go in there and do as good as he did on the pressure like that and be the leader of a faction and be the guy who took most of the hits from people. Only Larkin, those Danny Burch, they're good workers and everything, but they're kind of like, they look like journeyman guys. So they're very lucky to be the world tag team champions, quite honestly. I think they're kind of a lesser version of the tag team champions over there in AEW. And Pete Dunne, again, I just don't connect to Pete Dunne at all. He's a weird looking guy. It's like I don't know what they're going to make of him or what. He was another guy who turned for whatever reason. They just basically needed another bad guy. But the Undisputed Era works so good together. They're like a well-oiled machine. Those four know each other like the back of their hands. They work so well together. That's why I think they might. I'm on the fence about if they're going to be brought up together in a faction in WWE. I'm on the fence about it. I think they should, but I don't see McMahon wanting all four of those guys. I can picture McMahon saying, "Bobby Fish, get rid of him." He's 44 years old. I don't want this guy. But they work so well together. Maybe Triple H can convince Vince to give him a shot as a quartet, and that this can be a faction, not like DX, but something that could be effective. Whether they're good guys or bad guys, I don't know. Right now, they're baby faces by default. Kyle O'Reilly is not finished as a single star. If you saw, he came out tonight. He's going to be in the mix for the world title hunt still. So he came out to confront Finn Balor. He's obviously still in play for a spot. So I think Adam Cole is main roster bound. There's nothing left for Adam Cole to do here. What is left for him to do? And he's not going to challenge for the world title. That's for somebody else now. That's going to be Cross, Priest, and probably Pete Dunne. Adam Cole's out of the mix. So what is he going to do? So they'll probably send him there. Maybe they'll send him there with a couple of the Undisputed Era guys. This match was just to close out a feud. There's nothing to be gained by it. Again, it was just to shut Pete McAfee had to get his comeuppance, and that's what this was all about. Obviously, the tag team champions are still there. They don't lose anything. Pete Dunne gets elevated now as a solo guy, and McAfee goes away for a little while. Maybe comes back periodically to start trouble or whatever. So again, all this was about was to showcase all these guys and get McAfee get his ass whipped a little bit so the fans could see him, get his day. That's it. That's all it was. Everyone's like, what's on the line? Nothing. It's what was on the line for Shotzi Blackheart, her tank. It's just a culminative feud. It's not, again, people overthinking it. What's on the line? Settling shit, settling problems. That's what wrestling's about. It doesn't have to be a title. Well, it makes it much more if something's on the line. Yeah, it does, but they didn't have around. So if that was the criticism, there was nothing really on the line. Reaching. What was really on the line back in the day when Dusty Rhodes got J.J. Dillon and the Road Warriors did the Doomsday decapitation on J.J. Dillon? You know what it was when it was on the line? Revenge. That was on the line. Get back at the Four Horsemen. Dusty Rhodes and Magnum in the cage. Get back at Nikita Koloff for jumping Magnum TA and putting him in the hospital in a work. There was nothing on the line. It was revenge was on the line. So again, I was listening to different podcasts, do reviews, and they were talking about, it would have been a lot better if there was something on the line. I just roll my eyes and I'm like, it's good versus evil. Isn't that good enough for you? You know what I mean?
There technically was something on the line. It was.
Reputation was on the line.
Adam Cole was like, I need to get back at this fucker because he's still messing with me. He won't,
Exactly. No, well, people are trying to say like, does the guy who gets the pin get a world title shot? Like again, the over analysis of wrestling that everyone because it feeds into the complaints about wrestling today. But again, if you like the classic stuff and you go back in the day when Dusty had his superpowers team. There was no one got a championship. It was to get revenge for getting jumped every fucking week, by the Four Horsemen. There was nothing on the line. So again, overthinking stuff makes you enjoy wrestling less. That's why we always say it's escapism. You know what I'm saying? Suspend disbelief, as DT would say. So that's all you got to go into it with. The War Games are for fun. For fun for the viewer, and it's to end a feud for the wrestlers. Because they'll say, well, what happened? Pat McAfee, where does he go from here? He goes back to his podcast and does his fucking football stuff. That's where he goes from here.
Which he's actually selling, getting hurt, because I don't know if you saw this.
Yeah.
He was actually wearing a neck brace on his podcast. So.
Yeah, that's great because he's honoring the tradition of old school wrestling. Now, listen, he wouldn't have to wear that. We all know it's a work. But he's selling it. I think that's great, and it makes me like him more. To be honest, I didn't like, and he's doing a good job because I don't like him, and I don't like him as a wrestler. I don't know if I don't like him as a person. I'm not that most emotionally invested in it. But him doing that is very Andy Kaufman-ish. You know what I'm saying? Wearing the neck brace and everything, and we all love the old school stuff. Then everybody should love the way he's selling it. He's doing the right thing by wrestling. He's not making a mockery of it. If anything, he has embraced it. And he put on a great performance. I mean, how could you shit on that guy? I think he did a great job.
Yeah, you're right. And also with Adam Cole, kind of bounce back, what you're talking about, Undisputed Era. In my opinion, I think what could happen is, I think it's just going to be Adam Cole on the main roster. I think he might even, debut in the Rumble. Kyle O'Reilly, it looks like they want to do something with him. And also, with Bobby Fish and, not Kyle O'Reilly,
Roderick Strong.
I think they're going to keep him down in NXT to almost be like with Adam Cole. It's like, I'm on the main roster, but I'm still Undisputed Era through and through. I'm still going to support my boys, and they're still going to support the group even though I'm not there. You know what I mean? Like, we're still boys.
If they were smart, they would let who's the best talker out of three of them? Roderick Strong, without Adam Cole. Who would be the leader by default? Strong, probably.
I think it'd be O'Reilly at this point.
Maybe O'Reilly, but if he wants to fly solo, I mean, there's nothing wrong with making Roderick Strong and Billy Fish a tag team. I think Billy Fish is the most to lose.
Bobby Fish.
I think he's Bobby Fish, excuse me, the most to lose. He would be the one to be nervous. I think Roderick Strong could find a place on the roster somewhere. But if they want to keep them together, what's wrong with doing a new Undisputed Era and adding new members? I mean, I don't understand why this thing has to die. Just add a new member. It's like a baseball team. You get a new player. I mean, the wrestling is so weird like that. It's like even Horsemen. They got a new Horseman. If there was other factions over the years, you get new members. Get a new member. What's the fucking big deal? I mean, there's young guys that can get a real elevation if you put them in Undisputed Era. If Adam Cole goes to the main roster by himself, you dub a new leader and then get a replacement for him on the undercard. Find somebody in that locker room that fits it, and you can get them over. So I don't understand why it has to collapse. It doesn't make sense to me.
So, all right. So you'll probably say no to this, but you just said take somebody from the undercard. So I don't know if you meant from NXT or from the main roster, but
NXT.
Well, I mean, what I was thinking, and again, this is just an opinion. I don't think this will ever happen. What if they take somebody from the main roster and put them in that leadership role?
I think they should get somebody with the best cocaine connection.
Well, you see, the thing is, I'm not available on Wednesdays. I got this show, so.
Well, okay.
I mean, I wouldn't be able. I would if I could, but I mean.
let's just call Drew Blow like the Johnny Depp movie. Drew Blow Yari. Oh my God.
What I was trying to say before you made it about cocaine again, but I meant maybe like a Daniel Bryan. Bring Daniel Bryan to NXT and have him be the leader of the faction. I don't know.
No. I'm talking about let Roderick Strong or even give Billy Fish a chance. Let them lead the way and then get a new guy or two. Just pick out one of the guys. Listen, didn't they just have a bunch? Didn't they just have a bunch of new signings? Is Mitch doing cocaine on video? Get one of these new guys that they signed. They just signed a batch of new guys. They just signed the batch of new. Didn't they just sign that Rascals team from Impact?
Right.
Maybe those two dudes. They're great workers. They're like the new Hardy Boys. The Rascals. I was happy that WWE signed them. They're a very good team. And they're very modern, So again, why not? Factions only have to die because creative has nothing for them. But if you look around, you could find plenty to do. Plenty to do with stuff like that. It's not DX. It's not a pop culture thing. Undisputed Era. It's basically a bunch of guys. Right. This is the new era. The era is not over. You know what I'm saying? The whole name of the team is Era. And this is the era is now. So again, they should have guys that fit the mode. Adam Cole has moved on. They'll have even a thing, almost like you're in a gang. Like this guy has retired or this guy's out of it now. So we got a new war chief, and now we got some new guys coming up. Again, creative amazes me, the lack of creativity in creative in all three brands. It's amazing to me. It's so easy, and it's so funny. Fans do these, we do these kind of backseat driver bookings, but, some of them, to me, are obvious. I don't know why it's so. Oh no, we can't do that. Why can't you do that? I don't even think they have a reason of why they can't do anything. I think it's they don't want to. Can't and don't want to are two different things. You learn about the wrestling business.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and you kind of hit the nail on the head. You actually, kind of made a good point and a good idea that Adam Cole can leave and just tell O'Reilly, all right, I'm leaving. I'm going to put you in charge.
Take over. Yeah, you're in charge. Exactly. And then when they get brought up to the main roster, they can feud and be like, oh, now, I'm the one. If it wasn't for me, you have a whole thing there. When they run into each other again, they reunite. And then this guy's too, almost like with The Rock, with Ron Simmons, if you remember, when The Rock was getting too big for his britches in that crew that he was with Ron Simmons with the Nation of Domination. Rock was taking over, and Ron Simmons was looking at him like, who the fuck are you? If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't even be here. And then, you do a breakaway star, but you could continue the group. Everyone always thinks, just collapse the group. That's it. One guy made it. The other four guys, fuck them, redo their characters and just disband this whole thing. I don't get that. I never understood that.
Yeah, I mean, again, in closing, the Undisputed Era, you can still keep them. I mean, you could easily just bring them to the main roster, but I think realistically, the company, the main roster is looking at Adam Cole and saying that's a star.
Of course. They want a new Shawn Michaels, and they got him in Adam Cole.
I mean, and also, we've said this a million times. Adam Cole needs to like put on some weight.
He does, but you can't picture that guy getting heavier. I can't picture it.
I don't know about heavy. I mean, I think he can maybe put on some muscle, but just he needs to get a little bigger. Maybe AJ Styles bigger. I don't know.
He got to be a solid 200 pounds, which is what Daniel Bryan probably is. Daniel Bryan's probably like 210. You can almost tell what someone's body weight is. Adam Cole is probably 170, and that is pretty light for a professional wrestler. Even Rey Mysterio is about 195 because Rey's real compact, real top heavy with muscle. But Adam Cole being like 175, that's like an average guy walking a street weight. If you're going to be a world champion, you can't look like that. I know the modern flippy fans like that, but WWE can't market a guy like that. You just can't. But even Brett had some size. Brett was like 230 at one point. Even Shawn Michaels was 220 in his prime. So again, the guy's like 175. Adam Cole's got to puff up a little bit. And it doesn't have to be steroids like Billy Graham says. I mean, it doesn't have to be steroids.
Did you see the thing that Billy Graham said about Kurt Angle?
Did he say something recently? Isn't Billy Graham got more problems than he should be commenting on wrestlers lately?
He posted something that was kind of like he made like a backhanded compliment where he was like, because Kurt Angle put something on his Instagram where he's like in like really good shape and he has a 6-pack, and then
I saw that. Kurt was sitting in a lounge chair. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
and then congratulations to Kurt Angle who's been working out, dieting, and taking lots of steroids. I'm like, what?
I saw that. I was like, God, what the fuck? Why did he say that? If anything, Kurt doesn't look like he's taking steroids. He looks like just he's lean down and eating less. He doesn't have a steroid body. Graham is so crazy, man. It's unbelievable. It's amazing Graham is still alive. Isn't that Patterson dead? All these people dropping dead. Graham is still here. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, you would think a guy like that would have at least checked out at least 5 or 10 years ago.
I mean, he had major transplant surgery on 2 occasions. I mean, it's amazing to me. He's just he's a bitter guy. He would have had such a better legacy, than he has. And, if anything, knowing he doesn't have a lot of time left, he'd probably get back in the good graces of WWE. Because Vince Jr., big fan of Superstar Billy Graham. He got into bodybuilding because of Superstar Billy Graham. So if Billy Graham just wasn't always taking shots at his family, sure, Vince would do everything he can to help him. But again, someone's always shitting on you and taking shots at you in the press. Well, why would you want to help them? Everyone's, Vince should do something from. I'm like, well, maybe he should stop insulting his wife and his daughter every 5 minutes, and maybe he would help him. Graham was his own worst enemy. I mean, he really is. He's the epitome of worst enemy.
Yeah, I think the only guy that I haven't really heard him insult, surprisingly, was Triple H, because I remember, Billy Graham was saying something to I think he said something about CM Punk that he did a promo he didn't like, and then Chris Jericho called him Mark. He said, "Stop being Mark," and then he goes, "Well, of course he has to write his 2-chapter long Facebook post." Where he's just like, "Oh, brother, I'm a Mark. I like Triple H because Triple H is A, B, C, and D." So I'm just like, surprisingly, he likes Triple H. He hasn't said anything about Triple H, but he loves and hates Vince.
I think he likes the bodybuilder, the old school bodybuilder type.
Yeah, that explains a lot. So
he likes Batista. You know what I'm saying? So there you go.
I know how much you love Dave.
He loves Dave,
Anyways, so overall, highlights and lowlights of War Games.
Exactly. Drew, I'm not on cocaine, so I am getting extremely tired, so we can wrap this up.
Well, no, we're about to wrap it up. I was gonna ask you, make it quick, your highlights and lowlights of War Games.
Of War Games, highlights. McAfee's performance to me was a highlight. I like again the comeuppance, them beating the shit out of him. I loved it. The other highlight would probably be Gonzalez, Raquel Gonzalez, the rise of her, the rise of Shotzi Blackheart. Showing, pushing other people there, not just Cross and not just Adam Cole, who to me are already established in my opinion. I mean, Cross has ways to go in the mainstream to be established. But in NXT, he's already, you saw out tonight, the crowd popped for him. I think the only danger is him getting cheered, which is going to happen eventually anyway because he's a cool heel. And he's going to get cheered. He's got the hottest girl in wrestling as his real-life girlfriend. He's got a cool car. He dresses cool. He's the toughest guy in the locker room. How are you not going to cheer this guy? That's my worry about Cross, by the way, is like he's going to try to be the best heel he can, and everyone's going to cheer him anyway, which is a good and bad thing, But my highlight would be the rise of certain wrestlers. Gonzalez, Shotzi. Low would be the Gargano match. And trying to think of anything else. And honestly, I miss Mauro and Nalo. The announcing, I'm not that big on the announcing, dude. I'll be honest with you. Wade Barrett doesn't do it for me. Beth Phoenix, I'm not. I miss Nigel McGuinness. You know what I mean? I like the old crew. I'm not big on the announcing. That would be a low light for me. I'm not big on the announcing. I don't think they sell anything the way Mauro sell it and Nigel sell it. I mean, are you on board with me on that? We're kind of missing the big sell when someone comes out. It's like even tonight. Can you imagine Mauro and Nigel McGill's? It's Karrion Kross. It was more like, is that Karrion Kross? It's like, oh God, dude, sell it. Like sell this shit. Like you gotta get excited. You're translating this out to the people in TV, man. Vic Joseph, any of these guys that they have, Nigel McGuinness and Mauro Ranallo, that's a big void with those two not being there. I'm not. But what am I going to do? Mauro is gone for good, and quite honestly, I think Nigel's going to be in the UK for quite a while. So what am I going to do?
I think you're reading my mind because I agree with everything you just said. Like, yeah, the announcing I'm not crazy about. Wade Barrett, I don't like that he's yelling at me the whole time on commentary. He just yells. Oh my God, is that Nigel McGuinness? Like he's just yelling. I'm like, what the? I don't hate him commentary. I'm just not crazy about him. Vic Joseph is just there.
He's just there. He's just there.
I love
He's
Beth.
good. He's okay. I don't hate Vic Joseph, but he's not. You need animated guys in NXT to sell it, to generate that excitement. If people say the excitement, I've even heard podcasters say NXT, the excitement, outside of a couple of people here and there, it's not there. It's the announcers were making that show. That's a big, big void, and maybe they have to do a little bit more of a search to find the right people for that show.
Right, and and I love Beth Phoenix, but her on commentary it doesn't work.
Yeah, she's another one. She's trying to have an adversarial relationship with Wade Barrett, but it would help if Wade Barrett got shot back at her like the way Nigel McGuinness did on several occasions, where she's like, Wade, you're making excuses for him. He goes, well, I don't know what to tell you, Beth. Like, it's not working. It's like they want to have a heel good guy or good girl heel announcer adversarial thing, but they don't click. And isn't Beth Phoenix coming in from a remote? She's not even there live in the studio. Isn't she on camera?
Yeah.
Right? She's on video, right? She's not there in the studio, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that sucks too. So that's why there's not going to be a connection.
So, and also the other matches, I agree. I'm glad Raquel Gonzalez got her coming out this, on War Games.
Yeah.
I like her. I liked her match with Rhea. I liked her match with Rhea at Halloween Havoc. I think that was the surprise. I was pleasantly surprised with that match because it was just two hosses just beating the shit out of each other. But yeah, this is her coming out party. I like what I saw from Shotzi just getting the shit beat out of her throughout the whole match. I thought that was cool. I love Shotzi. She's improving a lot. I love her. Seeing Pat get the shit beat out of him on his feud there. I thought, in my opinion, I think that should have been the end of the match. Just them just ganging up on him and beating the shit out of him, and that's how you win the match.
Yeah, true.
The low lights, the triple threat. I'm just not crazy about Gargano. Leon Ruff, I like him somewhat because he has that likability factor. Damian Priest, I'm kind of glad. I'm glad he's out of this feud and feuding with Cross. That'll be a money feud.
I turned on Priest real quick, by the way. I turned on Priest. I want to see him murdered now by Cross. I liked him like 2 days ago. Now I don't like him anymore.
So you got that. Overall, I thought the show, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. So what would you give it?
I was going to go with 7 out of 10. I could get on board with 8 out of 10, but it's 7.5 out of 10. I think, to be fair. But it was, again, you go in to watch a wrestling pay-per-view as wrestling fans, we expect the worst. And then if you get something even, close to an 8, it's a pleasant surprise. And by the way, it shouldn't be that way, but it just is, and especially as podcasters who review, there's some pay-per-views where I'm like, I'm kind of glad I don't do recaps anymore because I really wasn't feeling this show. And I want to be like a big Debbie Downer on the recap show. But I always try to find something that I liked. And then I'll listen to other people do reviews and I'll kind of do my analysis and I kind of agree with that. I don't agree with that. But always going into these pay-per-views, because everyone used to say that TakeOver was a given that it was an A show or it was a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 years ago. That might be true, but it hasn't been that way for a while. And I think it's not because of lack of – I just think it's wrestling's just hit a lull in general. And I maybe can blame COVID. I mean, listen, we're going to – when it's all said and done, we're going on a year with this shit. And there's been several takeovers now during the COVID times. They're doing the best job they can for lack of crowd and stuff. I mean, there's only so much you can do, with certain things. I think, when this is all said and done, we go back to crowds and we look at this era of it'll be like a full year of maybe even more of no crowds. And it's going to be something to compare and say, yeah, wrestling is a live crowd based. And a lot of this stuff maybe was better than we even thought. But since we're always, amped up for the cheering and it kind of fuels us at home hearing that, when you got 40 people around ringside just slamming on the fucking partitions and stuff, it's not really, it's not going to really amp you up. I mean, look, even Cross coming back tonight, I was excited to see him and stuff. I played it back and you hear the guys making as much noise as they can, but there's like 30 people there, True. Mm-hmm. There's only so much. And you almost kind of say, son of a bitch, this poor guy, if this was in a full, full sale with the crowd packed there, Cross comes out, attacks Damian Priest, just swaggers out the door and gets in the car, audience would have popped. You feel like you feel these moments are so missed with no crowd. It's that stupid, what do you call it? The Thunderdome thing. There's only so much a bunch of dumb faces on screen could do. So again, I can't wait for crowds to come back. Whenever that'll be, it'll be. Sooner than later, hopefully. But that's what really takes away from a lot of these things. TakeOver, NXT is so dependent on crowd reaction. You got to agree with that. Maybe not Raw and SmackDown so much, but NXT is dependent on it. And again, you can only get so amped up when you can hear a sparrow fart in the fucking arena. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got
and why would a sparrow be in the arena, by the way? I don't know.
Yeah, why would I have a giant bag of cocaine in front of me? I don't know.
I don't know, but there's been a lot of cocaine talk about.
But anyways, yeah, just wrap it up. So yeah, go ahead and plug your stuff, man.
Where am I these days? Tomorrow night,
not doing cocaine. That's for sure.
I don't. I can't afford cocaine. If I could afford cocaine, I'd be a lot happier. Tomorrow I'm on Castle Chronicles tomorrow. Mitch is here. Actually, Mitch will be with me next week, filling in for Trez a week from tomorrow, next Thursday, which will be, I guess, our holiday Chronicles. So Mitch is going to replace Trez next Thursday. Tomorrow night I'm on solo on Castle Chronicles, 10 p.m. on the Discord network live. So join in the chat. You guys know the deal. Friday night I'm going to be on, the Rage Network. I don't know if you know Jimmy from Australia, who's got his own thing going now. Does a show, a recap show with all the Raw and SmackDown and the pay-per-views and stuff. He's a good dude. He's got building his own little kind of network thing now. So kind of an upstart podcast thing. So I'm kind of going on, doing him a favor. I was on the show with him before. He's a fun guy, Australian dude. We have a lot of fun. He's real opinionated guy. So I only got to know him recently. He's been a fan of DTKC for years in Wrestling Soup, and I just got to know him a few months ago. I mean, I've been friends with him for a while, but when you get to talk to somebody after only seeing an image, on Twitter and Facebook, it's always, it always throws you when you hear the voice finally. Everyone hears my voice, so when I get to hear them, I'm like, oh, this is what he sounds like. So he's a real cool dude. I'm going to be on with him on Friday night to do a recap of SmackDown. And yeah, that's where I am for now. And then in the new projects, and as soon as we get days of start times and settle upon names for what we're doing, especially with the Pop Culture Podcast. We're still working out a working title. I'll plug those as time goes by, before the end of the year or after holidays. But for now, you can always catch me here on Discord and the DTKC Soup family, which I am still very happy to be part of.
Yeah. All right. Well, all right. So I know you have a busy day ahead of you tomorrow, man. So
yeah, I got enough points tomorrow. Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and thanks everybody to the chat. Mish, I'll talk to you soon. Hope to see you, Drew and Mish, tomorrow night in the chat for my show. And actually, I'll come on. Soup is on tomorrow night, so I'll probably be in the chat during Soup tomorrow night. What time does Soup start tomorrow night, by the way, Mish? 7:30? Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I'll be in the chat tomorrow night, probably during Soup, and I'll see everybody there. Thanks, Drew.
No problem. Hopefully you can come back next week. Can you come back next week?
I'll see if I can come back next week. Like I said, with the holidays coming up, I have a couple of things. I got some things I have to do. I have to go out with some people for some work-based appointments in the next week before the holidays. So, and I have like 2 doctor's appointments the next 2 weeks. So let me see what my schedule is. I'll know next week if I can make a commitment to that.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, I'll make sure it's covered. But yeah, just let me know, man.
All right. Okay, I'll let you know. Thanks, everybody. Peace.
Take care, brother. All right. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you, Mish, for showing up. Appreciate you being on, bud. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, I don't know if a lot of you were here for it. I'd mentioned that, well, for one, on the 30th, I'm doing my year-end review. It's basically just me reviewing the best and worst, mainly wrestling. I already put up the nominees. I already put up my poll on Twitter. Pretty soon I'm going to put up the worst wrestler, worst female wrestler, worst male wrestler, worst match, A, B, C, and D. So, it's on the 30th, so be there. That's the last show of the year. I also mentioned that starting next month I have a new work schedule. I'll be working mornings, but it won't affect the show in a bad way. Same time, same slot. Same time, same slot. I was also thinking about starting Patreon, so just to be determined. So, but yeah, shouts to Kev, of course, Kevin Castle, Trez. You can find him on the DTKC Patreon for just $5. Also, the Wrestling Soup Missionary, Joe Numbers. You can find them on their Patreon for just $5. Their show's going to be tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, right? Is that right, Mish? 7:30 Eastern. Okay. So yeah, and of course, Castle Chronicles is just going to be right after that. And everybody else's show: Fall Scout Radio, Wrestling Court, Breaking the Apocalypse, Texas Podcast Massacre. And pretty much anyone else. Anyone that supports me. Much love to you guys. And I'll be back next week. The show will go up on Friday. So, anyways, take care, guys. Have a good night. Don't do what I wouldn't do. And do as much cocaine as you possibly can. Laters. Booze.
The Drew Yari Show begins now. The Drew Yari Show.
It's Drew Yari. It's Drew Yari.
The Drew Yari Show.
It's Drew Yari. It's Drew Yari.
The Drew Yari Show.
It's Drew Yari.
The Drew Yari Show.
It's Drew Yari.
The Drew Yari Show.
It's Drew Yari.